episode of the Sports PSP podcast, the highlight of Friday nights. Hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic day coming off work, school, whatever the case may be. Sorry, fellas, sorry everyone, we started off the show a little bit late, a little bit more than I anticipated. Had to take care of some things, but as always, it's the highlight of Friday nights. And I got my panel with me, and we got a bunch of stuff that we are so excited to talk about. Of course, let's start with the panel. The one half, the fellow to my right. I see he got that new UGA Georgia Bulldogs poster on his background. No problem, man. You are more than deserving of it. Happy that you're doing your thing. He is a girl dad. He is one half of the Georgia Bulldogs. He is Mr. Atlanta, as I call him. Hawks, Braves, Falcons, Mr. ATL, the one and only BRF Sports. How you doing, man?
Man, I gotta tell you, man, life is good, man. Life is good, and yes, again, I already thanked you once, so I'm gonna thank you again. I definitely appreciate it. Cause no, it's funny because when the package came in, my mom brought it in, and she was like, what it is? What it is? Who sent you this?" And then as soon I got the box, and then as soon as I saw your name on the box, I'm like, "Yeah, it's for me." So I open it up, and then I see it, and I'm just like, "Man, thank you. I appreciate it." And I'm looking into kind of decorating the walls a little bit, getting some more stuff. My dad has actually been staying on my butt about that too, that I need to decorate the wall a little bit. So I'm definitely about to. I'm gonna make that the centerpiece, but I'm definitely gonna look into adding some more goodies to the wall to kind of Georgia sports it out behind me.
Hey,
But you know what though,
listen,
life.
better thank me because I was trying to get you a Julio Jones or a Matt Ryan one, but the best one I could get was a Drew Brees, and I'm like, nah, why would I try to aggravate the Atlanta Falcons fan by by giving him a New Orleans Saints poster? If I was gonna do
I
that, maybe I
will.
would have done that with Champ.
I will say this though, out of pure mutual respect, I did cheer for Drew Brees for the NFL honors. We gonna get into that a little later, but you know what though, life is good. I can't complain. Good week of work. Got my health. Things are kind of. I'm doing all right right now. I'm kind of getting back into a groove, posting content. If y'all ain't seen my MLB 2026 divisional previews, y'all need to check them out expeditiously. I got all of them posted on TikTok. I have 3 of them posted on my YouTube. I'm about to start because now that I got this whole setup working, I'm about to start really kind of diving in my YouTube a little more. I'll post the American League ones on there when I get a chance. But you know what? I'm kind of getting in a little groove right now. I'm happy where I'm at. And you know what? Hey, man, this is what happens when you're doing your thing and you got the right people around you giving you support and motivation to keep doing what you're doing. How y'all fellas doing this evening?
Absolutely fantastic. And of course, we can't do the Sports PSP podcast without my main man. As I see, he's got that belt on his left. He is the 5-time college degree champion and counting. He is a military man and veteran. He is the Al Roker of journalism. He is the young Charles Barkley. He is the young Mark Henry. He's Aces number one best sibling. He is Mama Champ's favorite son. There's a reason why his father called him Champ for a reason. Loves himself some D, especially with what I mentioned in that introduction with the pastor and the girl, but that's a story for a different day. He's funny, he's hysterical, he's charismatic. I also call him the Black Mick Foley because he just knows how to light up a room. He knows how to put a smile in everyone's face. The one and only, the big fella, undisputed world champ. How you doing, man?
Man, good, man. Happy to be on here, man. Got the title with me, man, because we are the best podcast on the East Coast. If you think you can take the title from us, you can't. We gotta defend it every week. Friday is our day to defend the title. Plus Valentine's Day come up. We got to get ready to defend a lot of other titles. So you can't take the title away from the Sports PSP podcast. We defend it every Friday. And we're gonna beat y'all in the ratings every single week, just like doing the Monday Night Wars. So you know what? Try to come take it. Because this right here is never leaving the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Sports
Man, I
PSP. Over 5 million, over 6 million views and counting, over 150K and counting, doing his thing. Like I said, that's why I brought the title with me today, because we are by far the greatest podcast on the East Coast and the West Coast to date. So every Friday we defend that title. And so we're going to continue to defend the title, man. So that's why I brought it here today, man. Y'all see all that gold? That belongs to the Sports PSP podcast, man.
Hey, I got to say real quick before we move on, boys. Seeing a strong Georgia personality holding that World Heavyweight Championship belt up like that, boy, you make me want to sneak and play some Pastor Troy in the background.
Especially the champion track.
Oh boy, I love the champion track, boy. That's like top 10 Troy track right there, straight up.
Yes, indeed. I had to pay homage not just to him, but like I stated, I brought the title here today. Went deep in my storage, and when I found it, just so I could bring the title and tell everybody, look, the best sports content creator in the world, Sports PSP, my guy BRL. And we got the title. We're ready to defend it every Friday. And Friday night is always podcast night.
Absolutely. That's why we gonna always keep on and continuously put on a show for y'all. Whether if y'all in Georgia, New Jersey, New York, California, Minnesota, it don't matter where we at. We gonna always provide entertainment. Fellas, before we start off with some football, because I know we got, of course, the awards, the Hall of Fame and stuff, but we got to talk about the NBA real quick. Obviously, the trades. A lot of trades. Anthony Davis going to the Washington Wizards. BRF, Porzingis traded to the Golden State Warriors. In exchange, you receive Buddy Hield and Jonathan Kuminga. Jared McCain going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, the 76ers, they get a first-round pick and multiple second-round picks. Out of all the trades so far, BRF, I'll let you go first. Which one you were really shocked or in tuned with?
The one I was most shocked, and yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be a homer for this. I was not expecting us to land Jonathan Kuminga. I was not. I mean, that came out of nowhere because I knew we were going to do something though, because the Hawks did have pieces that they kind of wanted to get rid of, like they like getting rid of, making the Porzingis deal, and then also Luke Kennard going to the Lakers in exchange for Gabe Vincent. They wanted, expiring contracts. They wanted to get rid of those expiring contracts. But I honestly think with the cap space the Hawks were going to have in the offseason, Jonathan Kuminga was he was going to be a target as far as I'm concerned, just to have another athletic guy to play next to Jalen Johnson. I can't wait to see that lineup on the floor when he gets going. But even I would say the Kuminga deal kind of shocked me a little bit. The Jared McCain deal kind of shocked me a little bit, but it makes sense with, SGA kind of being down a little bit. It makes sense to kind of help with that guard depth, because I think he's missing, he's got an injury that's going to sit him down for about 2 to 4 weeks. So, them acquiring Jared McCain makes sense to get, to bring a little depth back. So that definitely makes sense. I think right now you're probably looking at either an Isaiah Joe or an Aaron Wiggins or somebody like that playing the point. But Jared McCain, he just wasn't getting time in Philly. He wasn't getting the time. A lot of it was injury, but then at the same time, the depth chart wise, he just wasn't getting in. So you kind of hate it because you wanted to see what a McCain Maxey backcourt was going to look like, but ultimately, they didn't, and you never really took full advantage. You never saw it really they didn't really reap the fruits and the benefits of what that kind of a backcourt would have been. So they had to do something. Honestly, though, the team I am most intrigued by after the deadline is the Washington Wizards. And not for this year, but for the next season, because I highly doubt they let Anthony Davis and Trae Young play at all the rest of this season. So what I see them doing is tanking it out and trying to get one of those top 3 picks. I like the construction of that starting lineup. When you got more than likely you have AD playing the 5, you got Alex Sarr, you have Keyshawn George, you have Trae Young, and I like the depth that they're bringing. I like it. So I think they're going to tank it out this season, get one of those top 3 picks. I think as far as they're concerned, imagine AJ DeBonsa in Washington with this construction that they already have. He makes perfect sense, because it looks like they're trying to build for for Trae Young. What they're trying to do for him was what fans in Atlanta was calling for the front office to do for him after the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals appearance, and Washington did it in a matter of like days. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Um, they're the team that I'm really most intrigued because they're setting up for the 2026 season. They're gonna really take a shot at it as far as like making the playoffs and and putting a dent in some things in 2026. So I am most intrigued by what the Washington Wizards did, and like I said, I like what they did because and they're gonna have cap space. They're probably gonna end up paying Trae Young. I will say that I have seen reports that we might get into later as far as like Anthony Davis. I did see something saying he wasn't the most pleased about going to Washington. So
He wasn't. It's
that's
been reported. Yes.
yeah. So I want to see where that goes because if anything, if he doesn't want to be there, Anthony and a healthy Anthony Davis still brings value. He could flip something back for them. So I definitely want to see where they go from there. But all in all, this is probably one of the craziest trade deadlines I've seen in a while with all the moves and all the transactions. We brought up some of them. I mean, there's others like I definitely enjoyed what the Hawks have done as well because Jock Landale is gonna be I think it's gonna be one of the more under the radar sleeper acquisitions. I think if he comes in like with Okongwu being hurt, Landale comes into Atlanta, he's gonna get minutes as a fantasy sports player. Not as much as I used to, but like with FanDuel and DraftKings, guys like Jock Landale are like heaven because they don't play much, but when they do play much, they they produce when they get minutes. And I think the Hawks needed another body like him. He can shoot the three. He's a good rebounder. He's obviously a good defender. First game, dude had 4 blocks. I mean, he had one of. I mean, he basically had a career game in his debut in Atlanta. What's going on, Nessa? I mean,
Love that beautiful woman.
exactly. She's the truth. But just have
Yeah.
coming in having a career game. His debut in Atlanta. I mean, you can't ask for anything more. Just just the trade deadline was it was outrageous. It was outrageous. I was expecting it. I was expecting transactions. I was expecting some movement, but the movement we got was just it was insane. It was insane. So I'm very intrigued and excited to see where the league goes the rest of the season as far as like the teams that really make the bulk, the most moves, whether it's the Hawks or the Thunder getting McCain or the
I
Wizards and
did
their
like the Knicks getting
acquisitions.
Alvarado
I
Mhm.
yes, I definitely enjoyed that too because he brings point guard depth. Jalen
and
Brunson needs a
defense.
rest. You put Alvarado exactly. That's what I was about to get into it. He can run the point. He gives you defense from the point guard position, which is something honestly they needed a little bit because Jalen Brunson, he's not the worst, but he's not the greatest. And Jose Alvarado gives you a lot more of that, particularly on the defensive end of the floor, particularly steals. He is like one of the best dudes in the league as far as getting steals. He's amazing at that. So that's definitely under the radar, and I like that as well. But for the most part, man, this is one of the craziest trade deadlines I've seen in years, and I just don't know where we go from here. But it excited me because I like talking the free agency and the trades and signings and stuff like that. I like the hot stove, like with baseball. I like seeing what front offices do. I like talking about salary cap stuff and things like that. I've always liked talking about stuff like that. So it's exciting when that many moves happen because there's so many things you want to like get into and analyze and what makes this team better, what makes this team better, what are you going to do in the offseason. So it was really exciting. I was very excited to see a really busy trade deadline. Shout out to all the teams, trying to help their cause, whether it's improving draft stock, making a run at the playoffs or improving themselves, possibly making a championship run. Like I said, there's levels to this, and I was just excited for as far as like what everything that occurred.
Well, I know the big fella was kind of happy by picking up Luke Kennard because you got himself a shooter. So you add a shooter to pair him up with Austin Reeves, Luca, and LeBron. I love the Alvarado trade for New York. because I think Alvarado, with his type of energy in a market like New York, and also to give Jalen Brunson some needed rest. Obviously, Giannis was not going to be traded. Milwaukee decided not to trade Giannis, but who knows? They're probably going to trade him in the summer or whoever. I do like with Trey and AD. Shout out to AJ Turnover Podcast because he made a great point how the pick and roll is going to be between Trey Young and Anthony Davis. But I have concerns about Anthony Davis's durability. Champ would know for a fact because after all, he did play for the Lakers, even though he helped them win a championship. The Jaren Jackson trade. So that that was pretty interesting. I mean, it seems like to me it's the beginning of the new step for Memphis. They're about to move on. They're about to move on. I mean, they've moved on from Dylan Brooks. And by the way, Dylan Brooks is having a hell of a season this season, averaging over 20 plus points per game.
I think he made the All-Star team this year for the Western Conference. He's showing out.
Yeah, and I mean, he's improving his offensive game. He's gotten more of an offensive bag. Jaren Jackson now in Utah, former defensive player of the year. I don't know what's going to happen with Memphis, but it seems like to me they're probably going to move on from Ja, and they're just going to have to refix this franchise. But I loved OKC picking up Jared McCain. I'm like, Sam Presti, you keep doing. How the hell? I mean, he keeps doing it with all them trades, all these moves, and now that SGA is going to miss some time because of the abdominal strain. So I think for OKC, this could help out because now with SGA taking some time off and Jared McCain stepping in, I think this will help out OKC. But picking up Luke Kennard for the Lakers, and then of course with Indiana, the trade for Zubac, they had to give up Benedict Mathurin, I think. So there were a lot of good, interesting trades, man. But really happy to see. But big fella, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts is I'm so shocked of the trade that didn't happen. I'm surprised that Ja Morant is not gone from Memphis. And you have to ask yourself, because a lot of teams inquired about him, but really didn't go anywhere. You have to wonder, although Kendrick Perkins, he is a lot of hot takes, a lot of hot wind. You got to ask yourself, is he untradeable?
I'm not laughing at what you're saying, champ. I'm still laughing about what you sent me regarding L. Duncan. But go ahead.
Where you can get a perk and then lean back
and lean back with it.
Lean back with it. So. Yeah, but that's what perk. But you got to wonder, is it, is what he's saying has a lot of validity to it. And, same thing with Zion, or is he going to be out of the league in 2 years? Because he's greatly regressed. He's had trouble on and off the court and with that team. So you got to ask yourself, is he, and for people who are going to say, well, he's another Allen Iverson. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Let's not do that.
Let's cut that noise immediately. Let's chop that noise in half and throw it out the window along with the rest of the garbage, because that is not the case. Because Allen Iverson had his trouble, but he did not regress as his career went on. Morant has significantly digressed in his career, especially now that they're not running as much ISO as they once was. So you have to ask yourself this: is he untradeable at this point? Because the thing is, the plan had to be, look, let's get rid of all of our superstars. They already had traded Desmond Bane. Then they traded
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. They traded him, got a lot of picks for him. So the last of the Mohicans was Ja Morant. You got to wonder, was he untradeable, or did teams deem it to say, hey, we got enough point guard help, we really don't need him? Because you mean to tell me Dallas, with the uncertainty of Kyrie, they couldn't have used him along with Cooper Flagg? Young core can draw some fans.
I get that, champ. But I think Kyrie's a better fit for Cooper than Ja because of Kyrie's ability to move off the ball and plus of Kyrie's shooting and scoring ability. But I understand the young duo. It's just that, champ, at this point, nobody wants to touch Ja because his game has declined, to your point. And plus, are you sure you want to deal with them off the court issues with Ja? Unfairly so, but that's just what it is.
Yes, and another point that Perk made that everybody, the thing is these days, everybody, when you bring up a valid point, everybody want to holler, hater, hater, hater. Like, bro, I was in this league for years. I played with some of the greatest players of all time. And I played with, arguably the greatest player of all time in LeBron. And you best believe every player that I played with, from LeBron to Kyrie to Kevin Love, at their peak, if they knew that they had a volatile relationship with the team, they'd have been traded already. Teams would have been lining up in order to get them. And for you to be one of the faces of the NBA and one of the most popular players in the league, and you haven't, and no team made an inquiry about you, that's showing about your digression as a player and your off the field issues. So the thing is, we got to ask ourselves within the next 2 years, if he doesn't improve his game, get a good mid-range, become a better shooter, and stay away from those pew-pews, are we going to see a situation where he's out of the league? Because if you are untradeable, this was the most craziest deadline I have ever seen. I've been watching the NBA since I was, But for you to not have any inquiries about you, nobody has inquired about you, no trade has happened, even for a first round pick. Because the thing is, they even lowered their asking price for him. And nothing else got done. So you're untradeable and your game is digressing. Where are you going to be within the next 2 years? Because that contract, that big old fat contract, expires in 2028.
Mm-hmm.
So, and, if you really want me to be honest with you, with the rebuilding that they're doing in Memphis, not to mention, they're talking about moving away from Memphis, going to Nashville because they can't attract free agents. They got to build it from the ground up. Do you want to be around for that rebuild? Probably not. So that was the biggest shock, is that he's untradeable at this point. We all knew that the asking price for Giannis was kind of up there, which rightfully so, Hey, not only do you have to pay that asking price, you have to pay him within the next 2 years. Because after next year, he's a free agent. You got to cough up that money. He's still a top 5 player in this league. So it doesn't surprise me that they wasn't going to get anything done. Don't be surprised if he ends up riding it out and just going into free agency after next year. Don't be surprised. But the biggest surprise was the trade that didn't get done. Because the thing is, for your teammate to get traded for a litany of draft picks and you still there, for Desmond Bane to get traded for a litany of draft picks and you still there,
right?
That says a lot about how teams are just not willing to touch you at this point.
Big fella, I'm kind of not surprised that Ja was traded, because they know that Ja is a tremendous talent when healthy, but them risk. Unfortunately, Ja did it to himself both on and off the court. And when you look at Desmond Bane, he provides value because of his size and his ability to hit the three. Dylan Brooks, even though early on in his career he was considered like a trash talker, but he has improved his offensive game. He has improved substantially, man. He has looked so good so far, man, and I got to give big ups to him. And when you look at Ja Morant at this point, injuries, the off the court issues, he and Zion, man, I mean, the hype that they had coming out of college, I mean, it's just a damn shame. And at this point, it's no surprise that they weren't traded, because it seems like, to me, champ, nobody wants to touch them because of other than their value, other than their tremendous talent. What are they going to bring that's conducive to winning and changing cultures? Since Ja's 2021-2022 seasons. And I did also like the Kobe White trade for him to go to Charlotte. He's from North Carolina. Love Kobe White from his time in Chicago. Big ups to Kobe White. And the Charlotte Hornets have been playing well. Con Canupel, even though Cooper Flag right now is the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year, Con Canupel, man, he can shoot that basketball. He's got good NBA size.
He's number 2. If
Yeah,
Cooper
he
Flag's
is.
number 1, and if he's number 1 in the ladder as far as key of Rookie of the Year, Con Canupel's number 2.
Yeah, that's why I have Cooper Flag 1, Con Canupel 2. And also, I'm surprised we didn't even talk about this. It's no surprise, but James Harden getting traded
To Cleveland now?
I don't. The thing is, you don't trade a 2-time All-Star in the form of Darius Garland for an agent James Harden, who reportedly is going to ask for a 2-year, $80 million deal.
Yeah.
Huh? You're about to ask for an $80 million deal? And the thing is, this team, and rumor has it, there's a big master plan, because I think LeBron's going to be a free agent next year. It's going to be Donovan Mitchell, Harden, LeBron, which I don't know how that's going to work out, because the thing is, you're already playing with a ball-dominant guy now in the form of Luka. You can't even play with him.
Exactly.
And right now, James Harden's not a third of what Luka is. So I don't know how that's going to work out with them. And people are saying it's win now mode for Cleveland, but I don't understand why you went and got James Harden if your mode is to win now.
Which doesn't even make any sense whatsoever, given how Harden is 36. And
they're not
I'm
in
sorry.
win now mode now. They're not in win now mode like now. This has been one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference for the past like 2 or 3 years. I figured they were already in win now mode. Why do you need
James Harden at this point in his career? And besides, you know what he is come postseason. Sorry, I hate to say it, but that's the truth.
Exactly. You have one of the clutch playoff performers over the last 5-6 years in Donovan Mitchell, and then you're going to pair him up with one of the, let's say it, biggest playoff chokers in the league over the past 5-6 years. It's not a good combination.
No.
But for Darius Garland, at least he goes back to reunite with, I think, his father, who's a part of the Clippers organization. So he's in Cali. But James Harden, look, he basically got what he wanted. He's averaging around 25-8, around 41% shooting from the field. So it just seems like James Harden, once again, he just got his way. But at the end of the day, how's it going to help Cleveland with him and Donovan Mitchell? And they got other nice players. I mean, Jared Allen, who I love coming from Brooklyn, Karis LeVert, Tyson. But at the same time, if you're Cleveland with James Harden, it's not going to be much of a deal for them to come out the East. The two teams that, in my opinion, are coming out the East are just Detroit and New York. So I just don't see it for James Harden. I mean, good luck if you're Cleveland, but at the end of the day, and plus, who's the head coach for Cleveland? Kenny Atkinson. Well, no, wait. He wasn't the head coach when James Harden was there in Brooklyn. That was Steve Nash. I forgot. But how are you going to handle James Harden at this point, knowing that he's 36 years old and knowing that we've seen him regress come postseason time?
And I'll throw another point in there too. From studying Kenny Atkinson and seeing his coaching career over the past few years, he works and meshes at his best when he has a young basketball team, because he's able to coach, he's able to teach, he's able to mesh young guys together and also help them into adapt as far as a certain style of basketball that Kenny Atkinson likes to coach, because he likes athletic teams. He likes teams that can run, get into transition, play defense. Most importantly, Kenny Atkinson likes to coach the defense. He likes to coach on the defensive end of the floor. Why are you bringing in James Harden? This baffles me. I feel like, I don't know why I feel like this. I feel like if Cleveland brings in James Harden and then follows it up with LeBron, I have this sneaky suspicion that they're gonna get rid of Kenny Atkinson.
I think it's just Cleveland's way of trying to get tickets. Because by bringing in Harden, and then possibly LeBron, only because, again, he played in Cleveland. He's from Ohio. That's why. But it's a recipe for disaster.
It is. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all as far as I'm concerned.
No. But the Knicks, I do love the Jose Alvarado. That was a good pickup. Kobe White with the Charlotte Hornets. Now you give another scorer for LaMelo, so he doesn't have to take as many perimeter shots. He's got Canupo, and he's also got Kobe White as well. But for the Lakers, I do love Luke Kennard. By adding in a shooter, that's what the Lakers really need. But fellas, let's talk about the NFL, of course. The Hall of Fame. Drew Brees got in, rightfully so. Luke Kuechly, Larry Fitzgerald. There were other candidates as well. If I forgot,
Roger Craig.
Roger Craig got in. Adam Vinatieri got in.
yes, Adam Vinatieri, yes. But I want to make it real short, real quick. And look, I know I sound redundant, but I'm sorry. Bill Belichick didn't get in on not only on the first ballot, he didn't even make the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Robert Kraft didn't even make the Hall of Fame, and he's on the verge of winning, dare I say, his 7th Super Bowl. Congratulations to all the other winners. Drew Brees, of course, by having a hell of a career in New Orleans. Remember, they were called the Aints. They had the trash bags. I mean, before Drew Brees, the only relevancy they had, as Champ mentioned it countless times, the Dome Patrol. Yeah. And remember in 2005 how he turned around that franchise and that city in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, because at one point they were considering moving from New Orleans to San Antonio. And Drew Brees also changed the landscape because the quarterbacks, again, he's not the biggest dude. He's listed at 6 feet, although Champ has seen him in person at the Georgia Dome. He's 6 feet, all right. I don't know about that. I mean, because Champ is a legit 6 feet, 325, 330 dude. He's seen Drew Brees at the Georgia Dome, and he doesn't think Drew Brees is 6 feet. But regardless, Drew Brees had a hell of a Hall of Fame career. Luke Kuechly. I mean, as far as with the middle linebacker position, there was him, Bobby Wagner. There was also Fred Warner for a little bit, but Luke Kuechly, former Defensive Rookie of the Year, perennial Pro Bowl, former Defensive Player of the Year, I believe in year 3 in his career, rightfully so. Unfortunately, he had to retire, I think, at the age of 28, 29 years old. And then Larry Fitzgerald. What more can you say? Class personified, productive. The only quarterbacks he's had throughout his career were Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer. Adam Vinatieri, rightfully so, he got in. Hey, them game-winning field goals, he was there during the Patriots dynasty. He's made Pro Bowls himself. Got no problem. But Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft didn't get in. And it further corroborates why the media played a huge role in it. Okay, Belichick, people say, well, Spygate. I think it has more than do with just Spygate. It's, again, a culmination of things. Of course, BRF, you mentioned Bill Polian. Now, he's denied that he's denied he didn't keep Belichick out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame. They're saying that Belichick did, in fact, vote for Bill Polian, but that's just sour grapes. It just is hard for me to believe that Bill Polian didn't play a role because, after all, he was the general manager and team president for the Indianapolis Colts during the Patriots' time. And on top of that, he used to work in media. He used to work at ESPN. So he knows them Hall of Fame voters very well. Exactly. I think he kept them out. I think he did that to Belichick and Robert Kraft. Why? Because of Bill Belichick. Why? Because Spygate? Or Robert Kraft? Why? Because under your stewardship, Spygate happened? Deflategate happened? Or maybe because of the off-the-field accusations that you had at one particular point. Remember what he was accused of in 2019? Yeah. And my thing is, the Hall of Fame at this point, it's a joke. Just the voters, the media, because, again, it's at a point right now we can't even look at somebody and say, are they really a Hall of Famer? Because based on body of work and merit, Belichick second most wins by head coach, only behind Don Shula. As you mentioned, BRF, 19 AFC East titles, 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator. He's not even a first ballot. Now, if you want to make the argument, well, okay, Bill Walsh didn't get in, Bill Parcells didn't make the first ballot, neither did Jimmy Johnson and Vince Lombardi. And that was wrong too. And with Bill Belichick, it's a no-brainer. And if we're going to use character and personality, because BRF, although I disagree with you about T.O. as the second greatest wide receiver, you have T.O. over Randy Moss. But I thought T.O. got screwed by the voters and the media by him not making the Hall of Fame on the first try as the first ballot. And Randy Moss, I'm sorry, he got in, yes, and rightfully so, not just because of his production, but I don't believe he got in because of his production. He got in primarily because of media, because he used to work at Fox Sports and he also used to work at ESPN. And once he joined the media, it seemed to me that the media, the voters, gave him a pass regarding all the on and off the field issues that he had. He told the world, I played when I want to. Champ, you mentioned how he walked out of a game before the game was finished. That was against Washington. He mooned the fans in the end zone, in which Joe Buck said that is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
Yes.
Remember, Randy Moss squirted a ref with a water bottle. Randy Moss also had off-the-field issues, unlike Terrell Owens. Randy Moss bumped his car into a police officer's car. And my thing is, despite all the issues Randy had, he should still be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the same thing should apply with Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens got screwed because of the media, and I think a lot of that had to do with Skip Bayless. After all, he nicknamed him Team Obliterator. And I think with the media and the voters, it's just a joke. And if we're going to be consistent about keeping people out of the Hall of Fame because of character or reputation, I'll mention this certain individual. You know, in 2027, Ben Roethlisberger will be eligible for being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Ben Roethlisberger, based on his on-the-field body of work, yes. Because, again, he did win 2 Super Bowls with 2 different head coaches. Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, as you mentioned, champ. He has Pro Bowls. He's been to 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2. And it does also help he did play in Pittsburgh for 18 years. But at the same time, we can't disregard them off-the-field issues, especially Lake Tahoe, Nevada, and one in y'all state, Milledgeville, in which he served a 6-game suspension but later reduced to 4. So my thing is, if you're the voters, if you're the media, are you going to keep the same energy? Because if you use Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft because of Spygate, Deflategate, or whatever controversy the Patriots had, are you going to keep the same energy? Are you going to do that with Ben Roethlisberger? And also, speaking of Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick couldn't even get in. Robert Kraft couldn't even get in. Can y'all imagine if the Pro Football Hall of Fame keeps Tom Brady out? Brady, I believe he will get in because obviously he's with the media. He's with Fox Sports. So Brady is a likable figure. But can y'all imagine if Tom Brady would be kept out of the Hall of Fame on the first try and out of the first ballot? Can y'all imagine how the media, the public, the players, and everyone else is going to feel if they keep Tom Brady out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Oh my God, people are going to be losing their shit. It's going to be ugly. Like you say, Chip, uglier than a Master P sneaker. Or, as I always say, uglier than Flavor Flav's teeth. So, congratulations to all the other people who were in, rightfully so. But to me, it is ridiculous. It is a slap in our face. It insults our intelligence that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft did not get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I'm more convinced. I feel like they're going to probably keep Brady out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And if they're going to use character and reputation, are you going to keep the same energy? And are you going to use that with Ben Roethlisberger? Because I'm interested to see whoever wants to go. The floor is yours.
One thing I will say this: Ben Roethlisberger, the year after that incident happened, remember 2011 was the NFL lockout season, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was no. He better thank his lucky stars that the lockout happened on the right before league business would normally pick up, because his ass was gone. They were literally going to trade. They literally had a trade lined up for him to get out of there.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Steelers was about to trade him. So to your point, yeah, you gotta if you're gonna keep one energy with one person, you gotta keep the same energy with everybody. Just like the MVP, gotta keep the same energy. Am I still kind of thinking back about Bill Belichick not making it, Robert Kraft not making it? Yes. But I would be remiss if I didn't play homage to my father's favorite player, Roger Craig. Roger Craig was kept out of the Hall of Fame way too long. And unfortunately for him, his justice finally came due to at the expense of another's injustice. Roger Craig was supposed to be in the Hall of Fame. He literally revolutionized the running back position. The year that he ran for 1,000 and caught for 1,000 and received for 1,000, he wasn't even a running back yet. He was a fullback. He was playing the fullback position. He was listed as a fullback. Was able to help those 49er teams to win 3 Super Bowls. Was part of one of the most dominant teams almost ever. Was one of the main reasons why they were able to overcome that Miami Dolphins team in 1984. The main reason why the Miami Dolphins couldn't win that Super Bowl in 1984 was because they couldn't stop Roger Craig. Won Offensive Player of the Year in 1988. Was an MVP candidate. But for you to be the first of your kind in order to rush for 1,000, receive for 1,000, and revolutionize the running back position, not just in running and catching, but pass protection as well. Roger Craig was one of the main reasons that teams looked at running backs more for pass protection, because he was one of the greatest pass protectors as a running back, arguably in history. So for the modern day offense, as far as running backs is concerned, looking at the protection, looking at running, looking at catching, receiving, running play action, all of that started with Roger Craig. Before that, you was just a running back. You just ran the ball. You did your blocking when necessary, and that was it. He became one of the biggest parts of the scheme. When you talk about Marshall Faulk, he doesn't happen if it's not for the West Coast offense and Roger Craig. Christian McCaffrey, who we've been on record. Every time I see it on my algorithm on Instagram, every time I see him and Christian McCaffrey, shaking hands and Roger Craig telling him, "Man, you the man," I get very, very ecstatic, because it's like a passing of the torch. I ran for 1,000 back in the 80s. You did it in modern day times. Not to mention, man, look, my dad used to kill me in Tecmo Bowl with Roger Craig. I hated when he picked the 49ers. So I hate that his justice finally happened at the expense of someone else's injustice. Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, I guess they were trying not to let the Patriots reign all over Super Bowl week. That was probably the only logic. Because the thing is, they probably knew that Mike Vrabel was gonna win Coach of the Year. Remember, Josh McDaniels won Assistant Coach of the Year on the offensive side. Adam Vinatieri, what is he? He's a Patriot. So the only logical explanation is we can't turn this Super Bowl into a Patriot fest. Otherwise, everybody will holler foul play. That's the only logical explanation that I can think of. Because imagine if Bill Belichick goes in, Robert Kraft goes in, Adam Vinatieri goes in, and on top of that, Assistant of the Year on the offensive side of the ball and Coach of the Year. Not to mention not to mention your quarterback is up for MVP. That would have been a Patriots weekend, if you really want me to be honest with you. And people would have called foul play on that. But at the same time, if Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, nobody is. Robert Kraft has the most Super Bowl wins as an owner. And like I said before, he's different from a lot of the other owners. He's only owned the Patriots for the last 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
The Rooneys, they have 6 Super Bowls, but they had an over 60-year head start. Eddie DeBartolo, I know he no longer owns the team. He stepped down back in 94, but remember, he bought the 49ers back in the late 70s. And the groundwork that he laid in the 80s and the early 90s was able to get them to 5 Super Bowls. They haven't done anything since he left. And that owner, who is related to Eddie DeBartolo, I think that's his nephew, he's had chance after chance after chance with great teams, and they just haven't gotten over the hump. Jerry Jones, he bought his team 5 years before Robert Kraft did. Had a hell of a head start. Hasn't gotten to the promised land after Barry Switzer and some of those great players from the Cowboys dynasty left. Not to mention, for you to transfer power, look, the only comparison that you can give to Robert Kraft is Eddie DeBartolo, the former owner of the San Francisco 49ers. Because Robert Kraft had to transition out of the Brady era, out of the Belichick era, the solo Belichick era, then create a new regime. And he had to do that with a new coach and a new quarterback. At least with Eddie DeBartolo, he had to transition with a new head coach, but he didn't have to transition right away off and move off of Joe Montana right away. A year after Bill Walsh left, although George Seifert was the coach, Joe Montana was at least the quarterback for at least 2 more years. And then even after he left, you had Steve Young. He had been groomed by Bill Walsh all of those years.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to move off of the greatest coach of all time in the Super Bowl, in the modern day Super Bowl era, that being Bill Belichick, then transfer power over to what used to be a player and was a part of the original dynasty for the New England Patriots, and with the new quarterback, and bring in some of these great players, not just in the draft, but free agency. That's nothing short of amazing. And I know what people are going to say. Look, let's just be real. People are going to say, Bill Belichick, he got those players because of the GM. He got those players. Bill Belichick was not just the coach. He was the general manager as well. So for you to be the general manager and head coach, and you to be able to succeed in the free agency era where you can't necessarily build in the form of depth. Remember, those previous teams who had dynasties and Super Bowls, they were able to build the team because of depth. Steel Curtain, depth. 49ers, depth. In fact, the salary cap was invented because of the 49ers. They openly admitted, hey, we want to make it so where having a Joe Montana and a Steve Young on the field on the same team is not feasible financially. So guess what? You were able to do it in a time where it was not feasible for you to have two great quarterbacks on your team. Not to mention to start your dynasty. You fully backed up your head coach in the process of moving off of the $100 million quarterback, that being in Drew Bledsoe. So for Robert Kraft to transfer power and move out of one regime into another, and for you to do it after only like 2 to 3 years, that shows you how great of an owner that he is. And the thing is, his popularity is not because he's always out front. his popularity is very, very organic. It's very organic. He doesn't have to be in front of the camera all the time for him to be noticed. So
He's already
yeah,
been noticed. I mean, look, Robert Kraft, he's not really that quiet of an owner, champ, because we've seen him
that
use his.
quiet of an owner, but the thing is, at the same
No, but
time,
no,
you don't
but
see
champ,
him
but
running
champ, here's
towards
the.
the camera like Jerry does.
No, but first of all, well, he's not Jerry. Let's not do that to Robert Kraft. But we've seen him hanging out. Look, we've seen him use his platform. He did advocate for Meek Mills to be out of jail. And
Yeah, he
not only
did.
that, we did see Robert Kraft. I'm kind of laughing because I'm still watching the video of him and Cardi B dancing. So I mean, I did kind of like that part from Robert Kraft. But hey, Robert Kraft is a little bit more fun. Robert Kraft is a little bit more cool. But the thing is, with Robert Kraft, he's not a Hall of Famer, and he's on the verge of winning another Super Bowl. Meanwhile, he moved on from Belichick, got in Mike Vrabel from the New England Patriots, and we certainly know how good of a head coach he was with the Tennessee Titans, taking the Titans to the AFC Championship game back in 2019. And when you look at it, it's no longer the Brady or the Belichick way. That's what's even more impressive. And despite all of that, he's still not a Hall of Famer. But look, it tells you, Chip, if they're not Hall of Famers, who is? It's at a point right now we can't even decide who's really a Hall of Famer. Because regardless of the merit or the production, I mean, unless you are a saint on and off the football field, yeah, you got a better chance of being in. Is 100%. Drew Brees, to me, it seemed like he got in based on his merit and production, but it also does help that he's with the media. He's with Fox Sports now. Larry Fitzgerald. Let's not forget his father, one of the best sports writers, well-known journalist. So it does kind of help. And Larry Fitzgerald, no off the field issues whatsoever. Okay, Champ, to your point, because you mentioned they didn't want to make it too much of a Patriots weekend because the Patriots already in the Super Bowl. As you mentioned, Mike Vrabel did win Coach of the Year. Got no problem with that. Although you could have argued for Mike McDonald with the Seattle Seahawks with that elite defense and what he's done with Sam Darnold. They have the number one seed in the NFC. Okay, Drake May, he was in the conversation. He was the runner-up for MVP. All right, fine. But still, at the end of the day, is it really more difficult than it has to be? Because if we're going to if we're going to keep on with the same energy, if it's about merit, what is the criteria for the Hall of Fame? Is it about merit, or is it me literally having to kiss you know what? Because that's what it seems like to me. It doesn't seem like it's about merit. It doesn't seem like it's about production. It's about results. You mentioned, Champ, last week. Is Bill Belichick getting the Barry Bonds treatment? Because Barry Bonds, regardless if he used steroids or not, he's a Hall of Famer. Big Papi, David Ortiz, with the media, but at the same time, he's in the Hall of Fame, and I ain't got no problem with it as well.
Hey, like I said, it's making a turn for the worse in the hall. And if they do that to Tom Brady, it's gonna be they might burn the damn Hall
They
of
gonna
Fame down.
riot.
They gonna do more than ride. They might burn that damn Hall of Fame down, and you might see bus around the street for Phil. I'm just being real. So I'm look when it comes to the Hall of Fame, there's a lot of this thing called politics, and there's gonna be some guys who want you in, and there's gonna be a lot of jealousy that goes around there. And like I said, your relationship with the media is very, very important when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Remember, Sterling Sharp, another thing that haunted him, he didn't have the greatest relationship with the media. Remember, he didn't talk to the media a lot of the time. He
Yeah.
didn't. He was very, very like, I don't want to be bothered.
Charles
You know,
Haley didn't have the greatest
Charles Haley,
relationship.
he didn't have the greatest relationship with the media. He was the first player with 5 Super Bowls. And the thing is, if you talk about the history of the NFL, you can't write it without him because guess what? He was part of the San Francisco 49ers dynasty in the late 80s, part of the Cowboys dynasties in the early 90s. Matter of fact, Roger Craig, 2 people knocked on his door in order to let him know he was in the Hall of Fame. Ronnie Lott and Charles Haley. So yeah, so Hall of Fame is really becoming one of those things like, all right, y'all gonna do right this year. Y'all gonna do right, and it's becoming one of those things where hey, now what's gonna be even the bigger injustice is if he doesn't get in this year, next year. I would say that will be the even bigger injustice, and you got to start hollowing even more foul play at that point. Another player, to your point, that surprised he's not in yet, Torrey Holt. He's not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, greatest show on turf. You can't write the history of the greatest show on turf or the NFL without him. And I think we need to go back to the rule Bill Parcells has. If you are the greatest at your position for at least 3 to 5 years, then you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. The absolute best. There's no question about it. Then you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But like I stated, glad Roger Craig made it in. Luke Kuechly, although he retired early, really much deserved it. When you really look at the linebackers of the 2000 or the 2010s, it was him, Patrick Willis, Ray Lewis, and then everybody else. But
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner, but those two.
I was talking about the guys in the 2010s when Luke Kuechly came in, because Luke Kuechly came in that 2012 draft.
Okay, my bad. But when you talk about the top two, it was Luke, Patrick Willis. I would say that. But Adam Vinatieri can't write the history of the NFL without him. Larry Fitzgerald can't write the history of the NFL without him. Drew Brees, although a lot of your passing yards and touchdowns came at the expense of my Falcons, look, Drew Brees set a standard. Look, we thought at one point 4,000 yards was just going to be bare minimum, much like how 3,000 yards is right about now. That's the bare minimum. 3,000 yards, you don't throw 3,000 yards a quarterback, we be looking at you sideways. Drew Brees made 4,000 yards look regular. And he did, look, not just that, he did it while being the most accurate quarterback in the league. So,
and you've also made the argument in 2011, you thought it was a robbery that he didn't win the MVP the year when Aaron Rodgers won it, because when you look at it, Drew Brees, every statistical category, passing yards, passing touchdowns, he did have the wins. Even though, Champ, I disagree with you, I had no problem with Rodgers at that time because he did have 45 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, not to mention with a 122.5 passer rating. But at the same time, Green Bay's defense was just that horrible that year. They were in the 30s as far as with defense. So if you take Aaron Rodgers out of that equation, how would Green Bay's offense, how would Green Bay be? They wouldn't have the number 1 seed without Aaron Rodgers. But you make a very valid point with Drew Brees, Champ. Because look, and that's a hell of a lot for you to say. And the other interesting thing, you didn't even mention up with Drew Brees. I'm surprised you, of all people. You told me this before. He used to train with the military, Navy SEALs.
He trained with the Navy SEALs. Man, look, I saw Navy SEALs train, and I didn't want no part of that shit when I was in the military. Like, I'm talking about, I got a chance to watch the tapes and see how they train. Those dudes train. When you talk about training like your life depends on it, yes, he trained with the Navy SEALs in the offseason. It wasn't none of those P90X workouts. It was hardcore training. He trained with Navy SEALs during the offseason. And look, like I stated, before Drew Brees, we really wasn't looking at completion percentage as much as we were after him. We looked at it and said 70% completion rate, and it happened with Ken Anderson, but the probability of that happening is 0 to none. When he came in there, he made 5,000 yards and a 70% completion rate, and he made it the norm. Nowadays, if you don't complete at least 60 to 65% of your completions, we're looking at you like you got egg on your face. So, and like I said, made 5,000 yards normal. And look, people might bite me for this, but I'm gonna just be real. They might bite my arm for it, but That New Orleans ring, that ring in New Orleans means a hell of a lot more than a lot of rings in the NFL. They were perennial losers. Not even for the best linebackers, and two of them in the Hall of Fame right about now could save them from it. He was able to come into that city and bring them a hell of a lot. And I believe, in my humble opinion, that one ring in New Orleans means more than Eli's. Those two that Eli's have up there in New York, because Eli, at least the New York Giants, had a history of winning. You had a great history of winning, even going way back to the pre Super Bowl era with Sam Huff and a lot of those great players. You had a history of winning there in the form of the New York Giants. In New Orleans, you did not have a history of winning, and he came in and single handedly changed that.
Well,
Without
not
Drew
just that
Brees,
franchise, that city. Because again,
yeah,
to your point, New Orleans
Katrina,
and they were about to move on, as you mentioned, to San Antonio.
yeah, and Katrina devastated that city. Remember, they thought they was about to lose Drew Brees because they made a wrong turn. They made a wrong turn. They were Sean Payton and the owner was taking them to neighborhoods, seeing that they could buy houses and stuff like that. And their driver made a wrong turn into some of the damaged areas to Katrina. And I remember Sean Payton said, the minute we made that turn, I'm saying, oh my God, we just lost this guy. He's not going to want to come here. And the thing is, it was exact the opposite. He said, the minute I saw what was going on, I said, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be. And he came there and he changed the whole spectrum. Luckily but Sean Payton had a backup plan just in case, because he was trying to get Tony Romo from Dallas. He was trying to trade him for a second round pick, but Jerry Jones said no. So he was working on every backup plan in order to prevent it, just in case he didn't get Drew Brees. But thank his lucky stars that he got Drew Brees, and the rest was history, because how accurate that he was, nothing was safe with it.
And just how the fact that he was able to have that type of career after that torn labrum injury he had in 2005, because only two teams was knocking at Drew Brees' door, Miami and New Orleans. And for him to
Yeah,
have this type of Hall of Fame career, and again, Drew Brees isn't prototypical regarding size. He's like the
no,
ordinary cat out in the street. And for
yeah,
him to be that sharp, that pinpoint accurate, and to put up all them types of numbers, because when he retired, he had the passing yards, the passing TDs, and everything else. So yeah, one of the reasons why you and I, Chan, we had Drew Brees as a babyface.
yeah.
BRF, what are your thoughts about the Hall of Fame?
Mm, I think are there a couple of guys that you can definitely make a case got snubbed? Absolutely. Champ brought up Torrey Holt. I'm bringing up T Sizzle. I'm bringing up Terrell Suggs. He is number one all time in tackles for loss. Terrell Suggs was an edge player, and he's number one all time in tackles for loss. That tells you how good he was as a defensive end at the point of attack, how sure armed of a tackler he was, and just how much he dominated on his side week in and week out. But I think for one, Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, what can you say? What else can you say about Larry Fitzgerald? He's in top five wide receiver conversations all time with the numbers he put up, with the lack of quality quarterback play that he had. We've mentioned time and time again, Kurt Warner, Carson Palmer being the only two quarterbacks of reasonable quality that he got to play with over his career. Just imagine if he had a consistent guy for a good 5 to 7 year run, the kind of numbers he could have put up with a quality quarterback. So Larry, for me, the two locks of this year were Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald. They were the two locks. I mean, you have to look at them and where they are at their positions. They're in top five at their position all time conversations. So that alone, for me, they were locks. Um, I did like seeing Luke Kuechly get in because I feel like he is in top five middle linebacker of all time conversations. I feel like he is. So he definitely deserved to get in. I mean, granted, he only played 8 years, but the peak he hit in those 8 years to being in best, not just best linebacker in football, best defensive player in football conversations at his peak. I mean, it just goes to show you how good of a middle linebacker Luke Kuechly was, and not only that, how smart of a linebacker Luke Kuechly was. His his ability, like his IQ and his ability to be able to not only to diagnose the plays and then knowing when to attack, and just he was on a different level when it came to the linebacker spot in the 2010s. He was at another level. I feel Adam Vinatieri, most clutch playoff kicker of all time. I mean, for me, I was very glad to see him get in. I think it was a given. I mean, I know people are calling Justin Tucker the greatest kicker of all time, but I mean, where do you think he got the title from? I mean, you look at a guy like Adam Vinatieri and his performances with that Patriots dynasty in the 2000s, what he did for them in the playoffs, like winning multiple Super Bowls with game-winning kicks. So, I mean, you can't say enough about his tenacity and his will to just, whenever you needed him to make a clutch kick, he came in and got it done. Like a notable performance, like the Tuck Rule game against the Oakland Raiders, like hitting those kicks in the snow. No kicker really had no business making kicks like that in the snow, and he's nailing them with ease. So I mean, he's the most clutch playoff kicker of all time. Roger Craig, only running back in NFL history with at least 7,000 rushing and receiving yards. That just says a lot. And he also, and not that, it's not like he didn't score. It's not like he didn't put the ball in the end zone. If you combine his rushing and his receiving touchdowns, he had 106 career touchdowns. To go with the over 15,000 yards from scrimmage he put up over his career, Roger Craig, like, I mean, I've seen some people trying to make cases that Roger Craig's not a Hall of Famer. Like, if I tell you you're going to get over 15,000 yards from scrimmage for your career and have over 100 touchdowns, and you're not, and you shouldn't be in Hall of Fame consideration, you probably want to slap me. If I said you shouldn't get in the Hall of Fame, you want to do something, because that's insane. But to really kind of reapproach the whole the Patriots situation as far as Bill Belichick is concerned, like I said, because you brought it up, I brought it up in the video that I made. And they ain't finna tell me with a straight face Bill Polian didn't have some type of petty thing going on. They're not gonna tell me with a straight face, because I made a comment in my video. Bill Polian, as the general manager of those Indianapolis Colts at the peak of the New England Patriots powers, when they were the one team that could possibly stop them from making a bigger run at more championships, those Colts went 6-10 and 1-2 in the playoffs. I mean, those Colts were the biggest threat to the New England Patriots, and they only beat them 6 times. And that's regular season and playoffs. They only beat them 6 times in 16 games. So that just goes to show you how on top of things Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft and those Patriots were, being able to scout, bring in personnel, whether it was free agency or through the draft, having the coaching staff at tip top levels. I mean, that just goes to show. I can't see a world where Bill Polian didn't play a card. I don't see a world where he did that. So one thing I will say though, I can't this, and I like what you did bring up as far as like the keeping the energy part, as far as like Ben Roethlisberger is concerned, because 2027, not only is he up for first year eligibility, Torrey Holt, we love you and you're a Hall of Famer. Adrian Peterson and Rob Gronkowski are also first year eligible players next year for 2027. You're probably not going to get in next year, because I'm telling you, because I guarantee you, because those two are AP. For me, Breeze and Fitz were the locks this year. AP and Gronk are the locks next year. Just write them in. They're getting in. If you want to say Ben Roethlisberger's in that tier, I think he's a tier below those two. When you're talking about where they rank at their positions, AP is like, AP was, you can make a case for a good 5-7 year stretch. AP was one of, if not the best running backs in football.
He's obviously a top 10 running back of all time. You can make an argument top 5 of all time. I mean, my greatest running back is Jim Brown. I mean, there's him, there's Walter Payton, and then I throw in guys like LT, Marshall Faulk, but AP's definitely on that mix. But again, AP does have some character issues.
He's a lot. Yeah, he does, but he's a lot. He's a lot.
Yeah. Gronk is easily going to get in.
Gronk is arguably the greatest tight end to ever play the position. So for me, he's a lot. So he's a lot. He's my other lock as well. And Ben and with Roethlisberger, he has a case. If you want to say he's a lock to get in, he has a case for himself. 2 championships, numerous passing records, playing in that offense in the Pittsburgh Steelers, like getting away from being the run dominant franchise that they had normally been up until like the late 2000s, going into the 2010s. Getting away from that, turning a new leaf, running a new offense, and Ben Roethlisberger being the catalyst of that, being at the quarterback and just like high 4,000, some touching 5,000 yards. Ben Roethlisberger was just he was as far as the quarterback position, what 6'4", 240, 50 pounds, being able to move in the pocket the way he did, could run and get yards, could create, could extend plays with his legs, and having one of the biggest arms in the league. Like
That's what Ben did best. I mean, he wore 7 in large part because he grew up idolizing John Elway. So with Ben, his ability at 6'5", 240, 250, heck, even at times 260, being shrugging off defenders, extending the plays. And again,
exactly.
Ben should be in the Hall of Fame. But if you're going to keep it consistent, media and the voters regarding character or reputation, last time I checked, Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have the greatest reputation in the world.
Exactly. That man literally was catching cases, whether it was Lake Tahoe, whether it was Millersville, Georgia. This man was literally catching cases, and you don't want to catch any case, but particularly them cases he caught. So, but I don't trust media and voters to do that as far as keeping a high level of like similar energy with all these guys, whether they be front office guys, whether they be coaches, whether they be players. I don't trust them to keep a certain level of energy. I think Ben Roethlisberger is going to get in first ballot as far as I'm concerned. I think he's going to get in. I don't trust him keeping similar levels of energy, and I just feel like it's still a shame for Bill Belichick not to get in, because it's like they want to bring up like past on-time coaches and how they didn't get in on the first ballot. Y'all was stupid for not putting those coaches in first ballot, whether it was a Vince Lombardi or whether it was a Bill Walsh or coaches like that. Y'all were dumb not putting them in first ballot. Those were first ballot guys. Vince Lombardi has the trophy named for him. How do you not get in the Hall of Fame as a first ballot guy, and you literally have the trophy named after you? That speaks for your reputation. That speaks for what you did as a coach. If you are obviously recognized to the level to have the Super Bowl championship trophy named after you, you are obviously a first ballot Hall of Fame kind of coach. I mean, come on, y'all, media, let's make sense of all this. When you're awarding these personalities, when you are awarding these athletes, these coaches, as far as like getting into respective Hall of Fames, put these biases to the side, put this petty nonsense to the side. They should be measured based on how, if you want to take character into consideration, fine. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what gets you in the Hall of Fame is what you did on the field.
Can you tell the story without him? Can you tell the story without? I mean, look, say whatever you want about Belichick. Can you tell the story without football, without him? Spygate is there.
Greatest.
Yeah,
and not only that. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Spygate, yes. He was involved in Spygate. Does that moment should tarnish his legacy? No, it's there, unfortunately, for him and Patriots fans. No matter what you may think of with Bill Belichick, people are always so quick to bring up Spygate. It's there, but it doesn't define it, and it doesn't mean that we should overlook everything. And plus, Champ, you brought up Bill Polian. Didn't he cheat? You mentioned it last week on my pod, remember?
Again, everybody was doing it. We even got popped at Atlanta for pumping in fake crowd noise. And Bill Polian and the Indianapolis Colts did the same thing. And I'll never forget one quarterback in particular. Remember when Matt Hasselbeck had that flu?
Yeah.
Remember they turned the heat on his ass?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, look, in football, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying hard enough. The only place that doesn't apply is when you're in a relationship. But when you are out here trying to make a living, and coaching is your livelihood and everything like that, you're going to try to find a competitive edge. Even Bill Walsh cheated. It was a known fact. Remember, I said this last week on your pod, PSP.
You did.
Yes, Bill Walsh and his team used to script plays. So they had a whole playbook at Montana's disposal. We're going to run this, and they would go through the scenario. Bill Parcells knew they scripted plays. And every time they would play the Giants, because the Giants would give them the most toughest time, they would say, my headphones are not working. Now, when your headphones are not working, the other coaches have to take their headphones off. But the players are scripted now. They don't know what you're running. They can't make an adjustment in the booth. They can't look down there and have any communication, so they don't really know right about that. And that happened 2 times when they played against the Giants. And I never forget what Bill Parcells said. He said, he went over to Bill Walsh. He said, I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Them damn headphones go out one more damn time. Me and you going to have a talk with the NFL office. And Bill Walsh winked at him and said, just a little bit of a competitive advantage. So even the great Bill Walsh was trying to find a competitive edge. So for everybody to look, everybody that cheated at a certain point, the Raiders, people don't bring this up a lot, but hell, at the peak of his power, when the Miami Dolphins were in the 80s, in the 70s, the head of the competition committee was Don Shula. He was getting his ass beat by Pittsburgh every year after the early 70s.
Exactly.
So, look, everybody was cheating. The Oakland Raiders, they was wearing casts on their arms. I mean, Bob Brown, Hall of Famer. He had a broken thumb for damn near his entire career. He used to take his hand and just hit L.C. Greenwood or Joe Green in the stomach with it. There's always somebody out there trying to find a competitive edge in order to bend the rules, whether it is within the rules or outside of the rules. Even Bill Walsh did that. God rest his soul. Stickum. That was, although it was not.
Yeah, Jerry Rice used Stickum, but at the same time, did it take away what he accomplished?
That is a rumor. Jerry Rice did not. Stickum was outlawed in 1982. Jerry Rice didn't get to the league until 1985. So that whole rumor about how he used Stickum is a flat out, fabrication, or as someone famous would say, an alternative fact.
No, champ. No, champ. The reason why I say that because again, back in 2015, when he was on a feature for ESPN, this is what he stated: "I know this might be a little illegal, guys, but I sprayed a little Stickum on them just to make sure that they were a little sticky."
Okay.
This is a quote from Jerry Rice.
Okay, then cool. I did not know that part. Thanks.
Besides, Roundup, shout out to Roundup. He's mentioned it numerous times while Jerry Rice used Stickum. But besides that, Stickum was pretty prevalent back then. So therefore, should that diminish or take away what someone accomplished? No. Josh McDaniels, we all know he cheated himself. We all know why. But my thing is, look, you can't take away someone from who they are and what they've accomplished. And the Hall of Fame voters, if you keep Belichick and Brady, you kept them out now. Oh, shout out to our girl, Kia. Love you, Kia.
What's going on?
What's going on? If you're going to like someone, if Shannon Sharp said, if you don't like my numbers, my stats then, are you going to like them now, the next year, and the year after that, and the year after that? Maybe to your point, champ, yeah, because of the Patriots weekend, they didn't feel like it's too much of Patriots. Who knows? Because a lot of people don't want the Patriots to go back to being the dynasty again, because if they win, look how much cap space they're going to have. So, it's a lot of things, but at the end of the day, champ, it's a no-brainer. Belichick and Kraft, regardless of what you want to say about Spygate, Deflategate, you can't tell the story of football without them. You just can't. And it's just an insult to people's face. And when Bill Polian said that he had nothing to do with it, are we sure about that? Are we convinced? It's kind of like...
I don't trust it.
You don't trust it. BRF, it's kind of like Champ with Eric Bischoff. Do you trust Eric Bischoff? You said yourself, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw it. So, that's how
exactly. And it's like... And it's like And like I bring up this point real quick before we move on is like when we talk about when I want to add, I kind of want to piggyback off that point as far as like not being able to write the history of the National Football League without a lot of these coaches that should have been first ballot. Like saying I bring up the Vince Lombardi point again, but you want to be specific about it. Which head coach won the first 2 Super Bowls in the history of the National Football League after the NFL AFL merger? Vince Lombardi led the Green Bay Packers to wins in Super Bowl 1 and 2. You can't write the history of the sport without him. Bill Walsh is the creator of one of the most innovative offenses in the history of this league in terms of the West Coast offense. You cannot write the history of this sport without him. You look at a guy like Bill Belichick, 2 of the greatest victories in the history of the Super Bowl itself. Super Bowl 36, where nobody gave you a shot against St. Louis Rams in the greatest show on turf. You pull off one of the biggest upsets in the history of the league. And of course, Super Bowl 51, you're not supposed to come back from a 28-3 deficit. You're not supposed to do it. Not only do you do it, but you win in overtime 34-28, running 93 plays. 93 plays. A simple adaptation. All they ended because and just to talk about the game briefly, it was a simple adaptation that they did. They saw that offensive line straight up, straightforward, had no shot against the Atlanta Falcons defensive line at the time, whether it was Dwight Freeney, whether it was Grady Jarrett getting 3 sacks by himself, max protection. We got to do this here, Tom. We got to give you time. We can't do this man on man, hat on hat against the defensive line. We're gonna go straight max protection. Do you think? It's all about adaptation and about knowing how to do certain things. But like I said, that is why you can't write. Yeah, we all brought it up. You can't write the history of the sport without a lot of these coaches that should have been first ballots because they've contributed something to this game. They've given you something historic, or they've innovated things in a way that is still influenced to this day. The West Coast offense with Bill Walsh has so many different iterations now from so many different coaches running their own style. I mean, it's basically about as prevalent as a halfback dive in the National Football League nowadays. I mean, it's just so relevant to the game as far as how these coaches are running these offenses nowadays. So people, like I said, people just need to put the biases and the pettiness aside and just use common sense. What is the sport without a lot of these players and coaches? If you cannot write the history of the sport without them, they have to go in, put the pettiness and the biasness away to the sides and use common sense. We shouldn't even be having this conversation about Bill Belichick not getting in. It's a shame and it's a joke, not only to guys like us who watch the sport, who love the sport, who love talking about the sport, the players that play, the coaches that coach, the guys in the front office that do the dirty work behind the scenes as far as being able to scout, being able to sign these guys, being able to go out and do all the necessities in order to make the franchise as good as possible. And then the media heads as well. It's a shame to everybody who does their thing in terms of the world of sports. I mean, let me tell you something. If Tom Brady does not get in first ballot, not only will I never take the Hall of Fame serious again, I won't give 2 damns when they start talking about who's a semifinalist, who's a finalist. It's like, because we're gonna think, who cares? Because somebody who probably deserves it ain't gonna get in anyway. So like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? Like, nobody let Tom Brady not get in the Hall of Fame first ballot and watch what happens.
I think at this point with the Hall of Fame, we shouldn't have taken them seriously anymore because again, Chris Carter, in my opinion, has the best hands of any receiver. Chris Carter. It took him 6 times to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Terrell Owens.
Is a joke.
Yeah, joke. Terrell Owens. You argue BRF. You say he's better than Randy. Took him 3 times. And a lot of that had to do with his character or personality. My thing is just keep it consistent if you're the voters and are the writers. It should be based on meritocracy. But unfortunately, we're not living in the right world. And clearly with the president in office, that's a story for another day. We'll probably never live in the right world. But Sorry to add that out there, but that's just me. I'm just petty. But BRF, I'll let you go on this one.
Okay.
You were ecstatic, Matthew Stafford winning the MVP, your Georgia Bulldog, as well as undisputed world champ. I was happy to see him win the MVP, especially while delivering his speech. His 4 daughters was there, so it was exciting to see because, after all, you are a girl dad yourself. Um, Champ and I, we had Drake May winning the MVP. I didn't have a problem with Stafford winning it. Was it because of, to your point, the schedule? How the Rams' schedule was a lot different compared to the Patriots? Yes. But I do think if you're Drake May, you kind of may want to use that as motivation for the Super Bowl. On another note, but Teotara McMillan, who you've raved about, won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Christian McCaffrey won Comeback Player of the Year. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, no question about that. Defensive Rookie of the Year, was it Blackburn?
Carson Swessinger.
Carson Swessinger from the Cleveland Browns. Yes, I forgot about him. Deservingly so.
I had a problem with that too.
Yeah, Xavier Watts only had 1 vote.
James Pierce got 2 votes and Xavier Watts got 1. You mean to tell me the two rookies who might have arguably made the biggest impact in the league this season outside of Carson Swessinger only gets 3 votes combined? Hey, and this is no shade toward Nick Emmanwori. He balled out with Seattle. He's in the Super Bowl. He balled out, but James Pierce with 10.5 sacks, a sack in 6 straight games at one point. Xavier Watts being like second in the league overall with 5 interceptions. They're only getting 3 combined votes. I mean, we know why, but that's
BRF. BRF. Justin Herbert only received 1 vote for the MVP.
I mean, I don't really. I kind of don't have a problem with that though.
I kind of do to a slight extent because, after all, look at the offensive line. As the big fella always says, quarterback cannot throw behind his back. Slater was out for the rest of the season. Joe Alt had to miss some games, and Justin Herbert had to do everything he could until, unfortunately, the playoff game against New England. I felt like he deserved a little bit more consideration for the MVP. Not saying he should have won it, but Swearinger, I didn't have a problem with him winning the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. I thought he deserved it based on his impact. I mean, I'm just saying it's just my opinion. I mean,
no. Like, I'm not saying he should have won. I probably would.
But yes, James Pierce definitely deserved more Defensive Rookie of the Year validation, given the fact that he had double-digit sacks.
Exactly.
But
like what I'm saying, like, I probably would have picked Carson Swessinger to win it too, just off of the sheer impact he made on that Cleveland Browns defense. I think it was like 156 total tackles. He had 3 sacks. He had like 18 quarterback pressures. I mean, he balled out. I probably would have gave it to him, but like I said, I can kind of see where you're coming from with Justin Herbert probably deserving more consideration. I just think it got to a point where Matthew Stafford and Drake May just kind of they took the bull by the horns and just kind of ran with it, and then it just kind of made every other player that was in MVP consideration kind of irrelevant at that point. Those two were really at the forefront. Yeah, those two were at the forefront and kind of just they took over the race. It became a 2-horse race probably about week 10, week 11. It became a 2-horse race then. Nobody else. It was either going to be Matthew Stafford or Drake May. Nobody else was going to win that award. So I really don't have the problem with the voting the way it went, with Stafford getting 24 votes, Drake May getting 23 votes. Like, closest race ever.
No, that's fair, and that's fair enough. I mean, although but again, we agree to disagree. I think Herbert should have gotten a little bit more love, but I'm not going to say Herbert's going to win the MVP. Jackson Smith Najibba. I'm Drewski.
That's how you. Hey, look. Hey man, look, it's kind of like when you know one of your homeboys come over to the house or what have you. You know he ain't getting another invite back to the crib.
Yes, but like
You
brother,
know we
you
ain't
are
getting no
never
damn bite back to the crib.
you are never
You are
coming back here
done.
again.
I mean, you are
It
done.
was
So
You are
hysterical, though.
done.
that was
You are
hysterical that people are taking it a little bit too personal because hell, the damn offensive rookie of the year just said the same thing and still gave him the damn award. So the hell. So let's just be real. The offensive player of the year, the offensive rookie of the year, just said the same thing, which he's Hawaiian. Okay. So, you know, we cousins. So, okay. So we cousins. So I mean, look, people make a bigger deal out of it than it really was. The
Yeah,
dude's
they
Hawaiian.
are. They are.
He's Hawaiian. I'm not finna get mad at. I'm not finna get mad at my cousins, in the Samoans, the Pacific Islanders, people like that for saying the word. Fine with me, cool. I'm trying my best not to use it. Since my main man over here, I try my best not to use it as much. But
For the record, I don't like using the N word because of how it's a word to insult our ancestors. I don't feel
yeah,
cool using it. Kind of like how with women, I even tell women all the time, I don't like it when y'all call each other the B word,
yeah,
because if I said that to y'all, y'all would whoop my ass, or y'all would have somebody to whoop my ass on y'all behalf. I don't want
yeah.
that. I just feel like we could use different terms. But to me, look, he's young. Let's just move on with that. But Drewski,
Jackson Igabus. I ain't gonna say
Igaba.
Igabus.
We're just gonna say
Igabus.
Igaba. Igaba for this conversation.
Igabus. Igabus.
BR, if I
But
let you go, what were your thoughts about the NFL honors regarding all the awards, man?
As all right. So as far as all of the awards, I mean, they pretty. I want to say, I think for the most part, they kind of went. The awards kind of went in the direction that I was thinking that they were gonna go. Like offensive rookie of the year, Tech Ted McMillan was the most consistent from week 1 to week 18. Granted, we know Emeka Ibuka went on that crazy stretch at the beginning of the season, but he fell off.
yes,
But he fell off the cliff. And Ted McMillan stayed up, stayed consistent. Was one of the biggest vital parts of the Carolina Panthers winning the NFC South and making the playoffs, and damn near beating the LA Rams in the wild card round. So like, Ted McMillan should have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like we've stated, James Pierce and Xavier Watts, in my opinion, should have got way more consideration for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Ultimately, I do think they did make the right choice picking Carson Schlesinger, but I didn't think it was that much of a runaway vote as far as like how it should have went. Defensive Player of the Year, we're not going to talk about that. That was the easiest decision of the night. It was Myles Garrett, and it wasn't even close. That was and the fact that he won it unanimously, vote that validated. That was the easiest call of the night.
That was a cool
Offensive
cowboy hat he wore.
That yeah, he was fresh. He was dripping. I got to give it to him.
Yeah, it's something
Offensive,
the big fella probably needs to wear a cowboy hat once in a while, but that's a story for another day.
but
I'm straight on
but
that,
some
though.
but I will say that I will say this though. Somebody need to tell Deion Dawkins to sit his ass down. Don't get up there wearing no outfit like that, trying to get up and trying to show off like that no more. Don't do that no more. Deion Dawkins, we like you. I mean, you one of the best offensive linemen in the league with the Buffalo Bills. Don't wear no stuff like that. Come up trying to dance like don't do that no more. But I mean, props for you not props for you doing your thing, but not that outfit. Just don't look that. Don't do that. You look like you look like a cowboy that rose from the ashes. Like just don't do that. Don't do that. Offensive Player of the Year. I think I'm thinking. See, this is where I don't want to be a homer, but I'm sorry. 2,298 yards from scrimmage, and Bijan being finishing where he was in Offensive Player of the Year. But Jackson Smith-Njigba was the right choice for Offensive Player of the Year. Like I said,
He
it's
was on
about
pace to break Calvin Johnson's record at one point.
exactly that, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at these awards. I'm looking at the totality. I'm looking at the consistency from week 1 to week 18. It was Jackson Smith-Njigba, and he absolutely deserved that award. Coach of the Year, I would have went Liam Cohen personally. When you look at the impact he made on the Jacksonville Jaguars from where they were to where they finished this season, going from being like a bottom feeding team to finishing as the 3rd seed in the AFC, winning the AFC South. So I would have given it to Liam Cohen personally. I don't have a problem at all with Mike Vrabel winning that award. I don't have a problem with it at all because because coming into the season, the New England Patriots were one of my preseason dark horses to make a playoff run anyway. So I've always liked him as a coach, and he was able to show it with the talent around him to be an AFC champion right now. So shout out to Mike Vrabel winning that award. I believe Josh McDaniels won Assistant Coach of the Year. That's a no-brainer. That was a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. What he's doing with that New England Patriots offense, that was a no-brainer. Yeah. Hold on. Wait. I gotta get. Wait. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, I'm gonna toot my horn a little bit at MVP call. I'm not even tripping. I am tooting my horn on an MVP call because I called that. I called that bad boy in the preseason.
Didn't I just say it?
Yeah, yeah, like I called that bad boy in the preseason.
What was the episode?
It was the overrated or overreacting episode.
Yes. I remember you did that. I looked at you kind of like you kind of crazy. I ain't no damn way.
Yeah, it was the overrated or overreacting episode, and it was the too early NFL awards section. It was like if you like to the fans out there, if you follow Champ's page and you click that video, scroll past about midway through the video and get to that section, and you'll see it clear as day. I just felt a certain vibe about the Rams and the way they were constructing that offense. I felt like Matt Stafford was going to go off this year. I really did. You know, Devontae Adams has always been one of the greatest red zone threats in the history of the league, and he led the league in receiving touchdowns for obvious reasons. He's always been a red zone threat. Puka Nacua, we know who he is as a wide receiver. He's in top 5 considerations now. And you look at how he played late in the season, like just making all these crazy catches and putting up all these ridiculous yardage numbers, like, and then having a good offensive line, having a running back duo like Kyren Williams and Blake Corn behind him, and then you really start to incorporate your tight ends more late in the season, particularly that beast you have in Terrence Ferguson. So I mean, everything I felt like kind of came into place with this offense, and I just looked at it and I'm just like, Matthew Stafford is overdue to have like a true dominant quarterback season. And when you look at the NFC West and you look at who they were going to go against, like I made the point, like I made a couple of videos, you know, some people were kind of debating with me as far as like, you know, they were making their case for Drake May. Yes, I understand as far as the advanced offensive statistics, you know, the EPAs and all that other stuff. Yeah, I get it. Drake May was a very efficient quarterback. But if you're looking at the tail as far as how the last 2 MVP awards were won, 23 by Lamar Jackson, 24 by Josh Allen, it was value they brought to their team in terms of how they played when the lights were on and when the heat was up, in terms of playing, not just, even though Drake May play better against Matthew Stafford against common opponents, what Matthew Stafford did against really good teams needs to be studied. That man threw 20 touchdowns and 1 interception against teams that won 11 games this year. 49ers, Eagles, Bears, Seahawks. 20 touchdowns to 1 pick. That is domination on a whole new level against really, really good teams. Not to mention the fact he also beat the Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars this year and lit them up as well. So it's like I said, it's Lamar Jackson, what he did against playoff teams in 2023, that stretch with the Lions and the Dolphins and the 49ers going 7-3 against playoff teams that year. Josh Allen backpacking the Buffalo Bills on his back with the roster they had in 2024, but being the first team to beat 2 14-win teams in the same season. It was the same script with Matthew Stafford. How you show up against teams that you know you probably might end up seeing later in the season, in the playoffs. He came and he showed up and he showed out, and it was the same script that we've seen in the last 2 seasons as far as players that won the MVP. I just felt like if the NFL is going to be consistent, Matthew Stafford should win that award the same way Josh Allen did, the same way Lamar Jackson did, as far as playing, taking your game another level up against playoff competition. And he did that. And ultimately, that's what I felt like was going to win them the award. And ultimately, that's what won him the award.
Champ?
I have no problem with neither one of the awards, to be honest with you. The only problem I have is Defensive Rookie of the Year, because for James Pierce and Xavier Watts to get railroaded the way they did is flat out injustice. But That was the only problem I had with it. Everything else, defensive player of the year, that was a given. Offensive player of the year, I wish Bijan would have got it. JSN, he did his thing. Can't deny it. Moment of the year, hey, I like that one. Hey, look, ain't nobody brought up the protector of the year.
Joe Thuney.
The inaugural protector of the year. Like I always say, the quarterback can't throw on his back. So the fact that they gave the inaugural award out to Joe Thuney, that's amazing, man. I loved it. He made a big impact this year for Chicago.
I'll say this as far as protector of the year. I'm gonna just throw this room. I'll say, me personally, I would have went Quinn Miners with the Denver Broncos personally, but I have no problem with Joe Thuney.
Yeah, I'm staying with Joe.
Yeah, but, I got no problem with Joe.
But protector of the year, got no problem with it, man. But that's the only problem, only deficiency that the ceremony was good. And the ceremony was good, man. Ceremony was good, man. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
I'm laughing at Deion Dawkins' outfit.
Boy,
don't you ever do that no more.
Don't you ever. I love the confidence, but boy, that looked like a cowboy. That looked like a cowboy outfit out of Goodwill. Don't do that.
No, that looked like you remember that movie where Pam Anderson played in Barbed Wire?
Ew.
Yeah.
Who knows? Champa one day may wear that outfit. You never know.
I would never. I'd rather slide down a razor blade into a pool of alcohol. That's not gonna happen.
That's a hell no on that one.
I think with Stafford, yeah, I got no problem with him, but it's kind of tough because I'm conflicted because again, coming out of that 2009 draft, I was a big Matthew Stafford fan. I was actually at that draft in Radio City Music Hall in New York. My stepfather took me and my little brother, but also with Drake May, I wouldn't mind Drake May winning it either. I mean, he does have the 31 touchdowns, the 8 interceptions. I thought what held against Stafford was some of the choke jobs, particularly the huge deficits against the Eagles, and then the late Thursday night football game against the Seattle Seahawks when they had a 16-point lead. And Champ and I, we were kind of leaning on, well, what about Drake May? He does kind of have a great narrative. Second year, how he has played so far this season. And again, he doesn't have the type of talent and the targets that Matthew Stafford has. But to your point, BRF, going up against elite competition, 20 touchdowns to only 1 interception, can't go wrong with either Stafford. It's just that sometimes, I don't know, it just has to be more consistent. The voters, the media, they got to make it more consistent how it is. But you can't go wrong with either one, though. Nope. Can't go wrong with either one. But Mike Vrabel, I didn't mind him winning Coach of the Year. I thought it should have been Mike McDonald from Seattle. Given what he's done with the defense. Big fella, you keep saying quarterback cannot throw behind his back, but that's the job of the pass rusher to get after the quarterback. Seattle's done a really good job with their defense. And not only that, with Sam Darnold, at some point in time, we're going to have more conversations about him come back. Because at one point he was labeled a bust, but that was because of Adam Gase in New York, then Carolina, Matt Rule, David Tepper, the organization. Finally, he found some stability. San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, learning from under Kyle Shanahan, then going to Minnesota for 1 year under head coach Kevin O'Connell. I mean, they made the playoffs. Had they won that game against Detroit late in the season, they probably would have had the number 1 seed. And for him to have this type of success, and again, Champ, you were kind of being on Sam Darnold. You did say Sam Darnold was going to see ghosts.
Oh, seeing ghosts, yeah.
But come to find out, he actually saw the Rams seeing ghosts because he lit them up like a Christmas tree in that NFC Championship game. But fellas, the moment we have been officially waiting for our Super Bowl picks between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, it's been 11 years since Super Bowl 49 when the unexpected happened. 1 yard line. All you needed was 1 yard for the Seattle Seahawks to score a touchdown. And unexpectedly, Russell Wilson threw an interception to Malcolm Butler. wasn't really all on Russell Wilson's fault besides throwing the interception. It was really more Pete Carroll and the offensive coordinator, because why in the hell would you make that decision? And it still stings our guy Brandon from the block to this day. But could we see Brandon from the block get his revenge? Because when you look at Seattle, right now they're a 4.5 point favorite to win this game. I'm gonna lean Seattle to win because defense, defense. Sam Darnold so far in the playoffs has played better than Drake May, even though Drake May hasn't played well. But at the same time, he's going up against elite defenses, the Chargers, the Texans, and the Broncos. So there's no shame, and this is his first time in the playoffs. Sam Darnold, I think he plays well enough. Is Chardonnay gonna play?
I
don't
don't.
see it.
I don't think Charbonnet's playing. I need to check. I think his injury was going to keep him out of the rest of the playoffs.
Right, because the only reason why I asked, because again, Super Bowl in a game of that magnitude, you never know. Who knows? But I think for Mike McDonald, I think the defense. I mean, look, Drake May has been struggling with throwing the football in the postseason. I think if you can just keep Drake May in the pocket, keep him from using his legs, because we saw how he did in the AFC Championship game against the Denver Broncos and the wild card game against the Los Angeles Chargers. If you can just keep Drake May in the pocket, and if you just take away the other important players, Ramondre Stevenson, Keyshawn Booth, Stephon Diggs, keep the Patriots from making key plays that totally change the momentum. Sam Darnold, you've played well at this point. Don't screw it up. Don't commit any turnovers. Don't commit any mistakes. Yes, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations for you. Seattle's a 4.5 point favorite, but I think Seattle will do enough on their part to get their revenge. So to me, I'm gonna lean towards Seattle, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, 19-16.
Okay.
Just keep Drake May in the pocket, prevent him from using his legs. Also, find a way to also stop Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. It's going to be interesting to see the battle between Christian Gonzalez and Jackson Smith and Jibba. Also, I want to see Stephon Diggs going up against Devon Witherspoon.
That's going to be a
Also,
good matchup.
if you're Seattle, please do not commit any dumb penalties, because I still can't get over the NFC Championship game on 3rd and 12. After that play, who was the cornerback that was called for taunting? And in the next
Tariq
couple of
Woolen.
plays, there
Yeah.
you go. So if you're Seattle, don't commit any dumb mistakes. Even though Mike Vrabel, he's been there, he's been a head coach before, he's won Super Bowls as a player, he understands the magnitude of this situation. But I hope for Mike McDonald, your first year as a head coach, and we clearly see how Baltimore has been without you. I want to see you get the victory. I want to see Brandon get his revenge. I go Seattle 19-16. Just keep running the football with Kenneth Walker III. I think Kenneth Walker III could win the Super Bowl MVP, because I don't anticipate Sam Darnold to be putting up crazy numbers. I think Kenneth Walker III could win the Super Bowl MVP, or somebody on the defensive side of Seattle to win it, whether DeMarcus Lawrence, whether Devon Witherspoon, or whoever. I got Seattle winning. Whoever wants to go.
All right. Everybody know from now, I'm gonna set the tone. Do
Hmm.
y'all realize that there have been one, two, three? Okay, one, two, three. There have been 4 different coaches that have won Super Bowls as both player and coaches. Tom Flores, Mike Ditka, Tony Dungy. And although Gary Kubiak did not win as far as a player goes, he won as a coach in Super Bowl 50. The record for those coaches is 4-2. The only two coaches that have lost, that have played in the Super Bowl as a player and a coach, is Ron Rivera and Dan Reeves, unfortunately for my Falcons.
Hmm.
So 4 times a coach that has coached and played in the Super Bowl has went to a Super Bowl, and 4 times a coach has done that. A player that turned into a head coach has won the Super Bowl. They are 4-2. Why? Because they know what it takes to get to a Super Bowl. They know how to not let distractions. They know about not letting the outside noise get to them. All of that. So on that note, in the great words, well, damn, I can't say his name no more because of certain shit. I was about to quote Sean Carter, but some shit that came up. So, so, oh damn, that kills my
Boy,
mood for the night.
hey, nah, I'm about to hit that. I'm about to hit that Charles Barkley on you. Not a good time right now.
Not a good time right now. But look, I think the Patriots run continues. So New England Patriots, they've been here before. Maybe not. We know this is not the same cast of characters. This is not the same cast of characters. We know this is not Brady. But Mike Vrabel has been here before. He knows as a coach, much like Mike Ditka, much like Tony Dungy, much like Tom Flores, he knew what it took in order to win. So for this game, I have to say the New England Patriots. And if that happens, in the great words of Stephen from Tango, oh, what they gonna do to them? So I'm gonna just be real, because hey, remember, New England got almost $70 million of cap space next year. So just gonna be real. So I got the Patriots this year. Plus, man, look, I know that the Seahawks are gonna get the most attention, but look, you got to think about this. They faced defenses that were better than them. And I don't think it gets any better than them facing Danielle Hunter and that defense in Texas. I don't think it got any better. And then you had to go on and then you had to go on the road and face the Broncos at their home turf and beat them in the Snow Bowl. Because it was just old school football. Get on the board and hang on.
Do you also think,
So
Champ, why you picking New England because of their experience going up against Sam Darnold, particularly Sam Darnold's time with the Jets?
I don't think that's going to be a factor right about now. I think the coaching is going to be more of a factor than anything. Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel, they've been here before. These are a new cast of characters. Everybody on the Seattle side. This is a new experience for them. When you got guys that have been there, they know, hey, when we face some adversity early in the game, don't panic. When we go through this early in the game, don't panic. Don't do it. This is just another game, except more lights and more fireworks. And the weather's no longer a factor at this point in time. You playing out there in sunny California in the great city of San Francisco. So, I mean, you've had these weather games where you've been facing the brutal cold, not just at home, but on the road. Now you're in clear skies. I think Mike Vrabel brings one back for the family. I think, he's gonna be Casey. He's gonna be the Casey Jones of the New England Patriots at this point. Yo, K Witt, shout out to Red Room Sports, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the New England Patriots are gonna take it, man.
We got another chat right here. CBT Quinn take on Vikings, letting Sam Darnold leave. Look, man, it's a win-win it's a win for Seattle. As for Minnesota with JJ has shown some flashes of what he can be, but I still think him trading up in the draft to take him with the 10th overall pick, I thought that was too much, though. You could have gotten him like in day 2, day 3, in my opinion. But Champ, to your point, you picked New England simply because of their experience. And yes, because of the money and cap space, but it's going to be hard for them to become that dynasty because, again, without Brady and Belichick, even though they're starting off a new dynasty with new players, it's going to be hard to replicate. But if any team that can possibly do it is New England. So you never know. BRF.
All right. Well, before I get into this, I would like to say I do also have on my YouTube page and on my TikTok, I have a keys to this game. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. So what I'm gonna do, like with the Ninja Turtles. Hey, shout out to the Ninja Turtles. No ninja. We love the Ninja Turtles over here. We all pretty much grew up on them. We love turtles. So, but yeah, I'm gonna give y'all basically a Cliff Notes version. If y'all have not seen the video, I'm pretty much gonna give you a Cliff Notes version as far as like, I'm trying to make this as quick as possible. But I pretty much got like 3 keys as far as like each team winning this game. I'm gonna start with New England. First key for New England winning this game is to get Drake May active early in this game, and that's keeping him. It's not only just keeping him upright, but moving him out the pocket in order to make plays. Because I think one of Seattle's biggest keys in the game, and PSP's already talked about this. Make Drake May as much of a traditional pocket passer as you can in this game, because I feel like he is even more dangerous when he's outside of the pocket, and he can extend them plays by not only getting yards with his legs, but also making throws on the run. He is shown on a consistent time and time again basis this year. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he's making throws on the run. When he's a playmaker, he's shown that time and time again this year. So definitely, those are a couple of keys right there on each side as far as each side of the field. If you're looking at the New England Patriots, I don't think the New England Patriots can go blow for blow with the Seattle Seahawks as far as like on the offensive side of the ball, because we've seen how efficient Seattle has been in the playoffs. Granted, you look at the teams like the 49ers and the Rams who they play, but the Rams they know how to play defense. They got a lot of turnovers. They do know how to play defense, and that was more of like a familiarity thing. But the Seahawks have been really since probably about like late November, December, have been one of the more offensively efficient teams in the league. And I don't think New England can go with them blow for blow like that. I think New England's going to want this game to be a low scoring game. I don't think they can beat Seattle in a high scoring game if turnovers. New England's got to get extra possessions for that offense. They have to force turnovers, because if Seattle gets into the rhythm, they're going to be really, really hard to stop. Because then it's not only Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's Cooper Kupp, it's AJ Barner, and it's K9, who's in my opinion might be the biggest factor here. If New England can take away K9 and take away that threat of the play action pass and make Sam Darnold more of a traditional passer without the threat of K9 behind him, you have a shot. You have a shot. But if K9 gets going, this is why I'm picking Seattle to win this game. I'm picking Seattle to win this game because I think this game could be a real Kenneth Walker II show. The Seattle Seahawks are really good in the play action pass. Sam Darnold had the second highest passer rating in the regular season on play action passes, and he had the fourth most yards. He threw for like over 1,300 yards out of play action. He had like the fourth most yards in the league. The offense is most dangerous when Kenneth Walker gets going early. And to set up the play action pass, you're bringing 8 in the box. Play action, you go over the top. You got guys like JSN, you got guys like Kupp who can still catch the ball when needed. And then AJ Barner's got to be. I feel like another key. I think it was actually
Ray Rashid. Shaheed is going to be an X factor, because not only what he does is taking the top off the defense, but also with the special teams. And Sam Darnold,
absolutely.
The way he connected on that deep ball pass early in the game against Los Angeles, if he can actually do that in just like one or two, a couple plays, that's going to actually change the momentum. I just think with Mike Vrabel, given the fact of what he does on the defense, the thing is with Josh McDaniels, yes, champ, to your point, he does have the experience, but at the same time, with this young QB and this offense and a team of this magnitude, so if it were a more experienced New England team, yes. But again, this is a younger New England Patriots team compared to this Seattle's team. And when you look at Seattle, they're 17.1 points per game, among the best in the NFL in defense. That's how much they give up points per game. They're around top 10, 293.4. They're number 1 in the NFL as far as defensive rush EPA. Their defensive rush success rate, they're first in the NFL with 35.8. Sacks, they're top 7 in the league with high pressure rates around 40.1%, and interceptions 18 for the season with one return for a TD.
Yep.
Now, to your point, champ, with the experience with Vrabel and McDaniels and with Kraft in the organization, that does play a factor. I just think with Sam Darnold, all you just have to do, man, don't do more than you should expect or anticipate. Just play smart. When there's the chances, take them. Just keep the ball in safe way. Just don't do more than what you imagine or what you think. As for Drake May, it's going to be a concern because he hasn't played well in the postseason, in fairness, against those defenses. Seattle ain't no joke. So Josh McDaniels is going to have to come up with a good game plan. If you want to help out Drake May, why don't you give Ramondre Stevenson going? Why don't you get Travion Henderson going? Doesn't have to be necessarily with the run. Also help him out with the pass with Drake May. Set him up with some screenplays here or there. That's what you can do if you're New England. And also, too, clock management, time management. That's going to be another key factor for this one.
I think, and I think one other quick point. I feel like the player who I think may be the biggest X factor in this game, and I think we really need to start talking about him, is I think Nick Emenwari is gonna be a big factor in this game. Granted, New England hasn't been the most efficient on offensive as of late. They do still have athletes on that side of the ball, whether it's Stephon Diggs, whether it's Pop Douglas, whether it's Kayshawn Booty, whether it's Stevenson and Henderson in the backfield. Heck, Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper at the tight end position. Nick Emenwari is like that Swiss Army knife kind of safety where he's a big, athletic, fast guy, but he's a playmaker. I feel like this could be one of those games. This could be one of those years where a defensive guy can win the Super Bowl MVP. And I look at a guy like Nick Emenwari from the standpoint that he could cover. I mean, not only is he big, but he's athletic enough. He can cover anybody New England has, whether it's tight end, wide receiver, running back. He's that type of freak. He's that type of freak athlete. I think a guy like him is going to be vital as far as like success to Seattle, as far as being able to really kind of put a stranglehold on New England's offense. But I will say this though. I think it's going to be a little higher scoring than we're giving it credit for, just because New England can still make plays. And I feel like both secondaries are still prone to give up the big play from time to time. I'm looking at this as like a 28-24 kind of game because I think big plays will be made on both sides of the ball. But I'm ultimately rolling with the Seattle Seahawks because I think just right now as a team balancing on both sides of the ball, I just think they're playing too good of balanced football. And I got Seattle winning this 28-24.
I think it's going to be a hell of a football game, man. Big fella, is
Oh,
there
yes, it
anything
is.
you want to say before we move on?
Uh, no, man. I just think that don't be surprised if Drake may win Super Bowl MVP, man. Don't be surprised. Do not be surprised. We've seen this story before, just not like I said. It's the same story. Second year quarterback, experienced head coach that has experience in the Super Bowl, and an experienced staff. I think this staff. I think people are underplaying this staff just a little bit. I mean, this staff has been here before, and as we know, if we had no other evidence in the league this year that coaching matters, it's this year. And I think that this coaching staff is going to be able to out scheme and out coach this team. Now, the key is stopping Kenneth Walker, but another key to victory would be to get the running game for the New England Patriots going. You have to get that. You have to get that going so you can keep Drake May out of danger. Because if they just pin their ears back and just rush to the passer, it's going to be a long day. So
I
I
think
have a I
Travion
have a quick I
Henderson
have a
or
on real quick. I just got a quick prediction. There will be a special teams turnover in this game.
I could anticipate a block punt.
Yeah. There's going to be a big there's going to be a big special teams play that turns the tide for one of these teams in this game. I just this game has that kind of feel. This
Because after
special
all,
team
we
like
did see the Rams Seahawks in the NFC Championship game with that the Rams punt returner
mm-hmm.
fumbled.
Yep.
We didn't expect that to happen, but it did happen. So anything could happen with special teams. But I think if New England, if somebody's going to win champ, to your point, I don't see Drake May. I see more Trayvon Henderson or Ramondre Stevenson. Because if it's going to have to be the type of game in which the Patriots running game is going, even though Drake May plays a factor with his legs, and I've said it before, champ, and I love Drake May because even though I love Jaden Daniels myself, I said it before, I had no problem. I would have drafted Drake May. So I think for New England, and Seattle knows that Drake May is going to run the football with some of the read option, some of the improvisation. Just try to keep him in that pocket. Just keep him in that pocket. Make him more of a pocket passer. Take away his legs. Don't let him go outside to try to extend the play or throw the ball outside. Because again, Stephon Diggs and his catch radius, and he may not be what he used to be as a wide receiver, but still, he'll give you some plays here and there. And make sure you keep an eye out on Booty. So I have Seattle 19-16. Champ, I'm not underestimating the staff. I just think with the roster, because it's been, what's it been now, since 7 years since New England has been to a Super Bowl with this
Yeah,
new roster.
Super Bowl 50, Super Bowl 53.
Right, if you have told me some of the old players from that last championship that were still there, I would feel more comfortable. Even though coaching does matter, champ, players been in this first time been in the stage of that magnitude before, we shall see. But New England is still going to have a future whether they win a Super Bowl or not because of that cap money.
Mm-hmm.
Fellas, we gotta talk about the Super Bowl performance. Bad Bunny gonna be performing in the Super Bowl. I think he's gonna put on a great show. Um, even though Ice may be at the Super Bowl, regardless, I think at the end of the day, look, the bottom line is Bad Bunny puts on the show. He puts on a performance. You know, I know I hate to bring it up. I hate to bring it up because again, President Trump, and thank God for the president, he will not be at the Super Bowl. In the words of Ice Cube on Friday, bye Felicia. So I'm happy that we don't have to deal with President Trump's nonsense. I just hope Bad Bunny puts on the show, performs in the Super Bowl. I know he's going to put on some great entertainment. Who knows what's going to happen? But fellas, what do you expect for the Super Bowl halftime show?
I'm gonna make sure it's on three different TVs just so the Raiders can be up and beat that bullshit concert that Turning Point America is putting on. If anybody's gonna be a factor beating that bullshit ass concert, and I'm sorry, Sports PSP, y'all can find me later for it, but yeah, as long as that damn show beats that bullshit ass show that Turning Point America has coming on, yeah, I'm all for it. You got Kid Rock performing. Whoop de fucking do. Whoop de do. What's so funny about I always look at Kid Rock as a reject gang member because the thing is you're not even from down south and you wearing a rebel flag. You're not even from down south. You got rebel flags on. Like who are you? Like you ain't even from down south. You from the heart of Detroit. Matter of fact, you was on the Bad Boy Pistons documentary. You narrated it, but yet you claim you carry yourself like you just this Southern gentleman. And I do use that term loosely. So as long as Bad Bunny, I'm rooting for you. I'm gonna make sure that the TV is on every single house. I got like 3 or 4 TVs in here. I'm gonna put them on all just so you can get the ratings, so you can beat that concert or whatever that they got going on that other station because it's terrible, man. Hey, look,
Well, it's not a surprise, champ, that Kid Rock would actually sound like that. I mean, look, Ted Nugent, he's from Michigan, and he sounds crazy if you actually listen to Ted Nugent. If you're familiar or aware of
Oh,
Ted Nugent's history,
Stranglehold. Oh yeah, I didn't know he wrote. Yes, I love Stranglehold. But look,
Ted Nugent's always been a tool, though.
yeah,
he is.
has. He's the Chevy Chase of rock and roll. So that's just being real. If y'all know about Chevy Chase, it was always people always say it was difficult to work with him. Although he came out with a lot of great movies. But Bad Bunny is American, guys. I know that y'all got this hamburger, apple pie, Coca Cola image of what y'all want, what y'all think America looks like. I know to y'all it's apple pie and hamburgers, and the fact of the matter is hamburgers is not even American damn dish. It's from Germany. So, let's just stop the nonsense. I know everybody wants to, everybody's seen the Fantastic Four movie and they want America to look like that. But unfortunately for y'all, it don't. So Bad Bunny, look, man. I hope he goes up. I hope he look. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not for controversy or causing a stir, but I'm all for starting some shit where it needs to be warranted. I hope he goes up there and wear a dress. I hope he wears the rainbow colors to pay tribute to the LGBTQ. I hope he sang every damn verse in Spanish just to piss as many people off as he can. I want his performance to be more headline news than the Super Bowl next day. That's how much controversy and shit I want him to start.
I love it, and
So if you're offended,
if you know for a fact, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingram, all
yeah,
them other,
I
all
want them
them
to be so
Officer
bad that
Brandon
they're gonna
Tatum,
be mad.
Candace Owens, all them other people, they're gonna be talking about it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
fine,
and
whatever.
I
We
want
gonna
you to be
support
his
Brad.
man.
No, Chip. We gonna support Bad Bunny regardless. And for those who have a problem with Bad Bunny, whether he's an American or not, last time I checked, Puerto Rico is a part of the
It's
United
America.
States.
U.S.
So,
territory.
please do some homework and some research. And by the way, anyone who says that Bad Bunny doesn't sell or promote, if I'm not mistaken, he just became the first Latino artist to win Album of the Year last week at the Grammys.
Exactly. And he's headlining Backlash again.
So for people who have a problem with Bad Bunny, if you're not a fan of Bad Bunny's music, that's fine. And at the end of the day, champ, to each his own. Not everyone is everybody's cup of tea, and I'm sure you can respect that. But to say that Bad Bunny doesn't belong or doesn't perform or shouldn't perform in the Super Bowl, my response, sorry to everyone, but for anyone to say that Bad Bunny should not perform in the Super Bowl, fuck you,
With the
fuck you.
capital
Mm,
F.
yeah,
With
I
the
mean, just
capital F. Again, like I said, I hope he pisses everybody. I hope he pisses as many people off as he can. Because the thing is this, man, let it go. It's not always about you. Am I the biggest Bad Bunny fan? Probably not. Did I enjoy watching him at Backlash? Yes. Do I enjoy some of his songs when I'm out here actually trying to work out and eating my food? Yes. Am I going to sit around here and play money to go to this concert? No. But guess what, man? He sells. And guess what? It's about ratings at the end of the day. If you can bring in those ratings, then guess what? Hey, and I think a lot. Look, you can quote me on this, and I hope you clip this, but I'm going to just be real. Everybody's going to be paying attention to the Super Bowl, but you can best believe, though, that halftime show, Turning Point versus the NFL, that is going to be the Monday Night Wars of the Super Bowl this year. That is going to be the Monday Night Wars of the Super Bowl this year. And it's going to be just like the Monday Night Wars word back in the day. It's going to be hip hop, Bad Money, whether you relate him with hip hop or not, versus rock and roll. Rock and roll, I will say. So that's just how it's going to be. It's going to be just like the Monday Night Wars were. Hopefully, in the great words of Teddy Long, you're going to lose this one too. So, and like I said, I hope that he makes. I hope he does some without just going outside of the bounds of what he's, without going outside of the bounds. I'm hoping that people are greatly offended when he goes on there. I'm hoping that he's great. I hope that they turn their nose up because they did the same thing with Kendrick Lamar. He's American. They did the same thing. Kendrick Lamar, they didn't want him to perform, and they was, throwing shade at him, not realizing that he was a Grammy Award winner, that his song was the hottest in the nation that year. You said the
Not to
same thing
mention the
about
Super
Kendrick.
Bowl records, the ratings. Didn't he surpass Michael Jackson and Prince?
Yes. So yeah, y'all did the same bitching and complaining last year when Kendrick Lamar performed. And last I checked, his hometown is Compton, California. That is in the United States. So if you were so damn hard up on about America's performance, you would have supported Kendrick Lamar and everybody else that came before Bad Bunny. But you're not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about American. It's about the image that you want America to be. Like I said, you want America to be French fries, hamburgers, and apple pie and Coca-Cola. When that is not what it looks like. It's a melting pot of beef stew. If that's a good analogy, I don't know if that is, but it's a melting pot of beef stew. But you want it to be apple pie and hamburgers, which it's not. If you look around sports, it's a melting pot. So I'm hoping that he does like I said, I'm hoping they said he might he gonna wear the rainbow flag. I hope people get in an uproar. I want people talking about this for days. I want you to be offended. I want you to say everything. I want him to do the most everything that is within the bounds that the NFL told him he can do and kind of get away with. I hope that every person looks at that screen that don't want to look at it and they're deeply offended by it. Because if you want to whine and moan about somebody being on the Super Bowl because they don't fit the mold that you believe to be, then guess what? I want you to be offended. And the
And
thing is,
also,
if you're gonna be offended by anything, and I'm not gonna go into context, much like I didn't go into context in the Karl Malone situation, but if you're gonna be offended by anything, you really need to be looking at who the hell you got performing on your show, Turning Point. I'm not gonna say no names, Kid Rock, but you might want to pay attention to a lot of the lyrics that he's been saying over the course of the last years or so on his rap slash rock and roll career. Because contrary to popular belief, he got his start in hip hop. So you might want to start paying attention to some of the rap lyrics that he's singing, especially with some of the comments that your man Ted Cruz said just recently. You might
and
want
not just that, but also the recent video of our current president depicting Michelle and Barack like that. But again, like I say, as I always say, champ, I'd rather be woke
to and a joke.
than a joke. And I hope, champ, I hope he pisses him off, especially one in particular person. And I gotta hold your feet to the fire, big fella, because don't be surprised at all. A person you said yourself, I will give up content creation. I will give up podcasting. Jason Whitlock, he's gonna say something, and if he does, fine. But guess what? Fuck him. In the words of Denzel Washington from the movie American Gangster, Simple Simon motherfuckers. And when you hear Ted Cruz justifying certain people, and when you hear Kid Rock with his lyrics,
Yeah.
if y'all having a problem with Bad Bunny performing in the Super Bowl because he may not be American when actuality he is, or because of his outfits or whatever, then that tells me that's a hell of a lot more than you. So if I'm Bad Bunny, I look at them people who have a problem with me, fuck you and kiss my ass. That's all I got to say. BRF.
First off, first off, shout out, shout out to the homie Keith Lee for the Entertainment Tonight interview. That was beautiful, sir. Don't worry about what people say. Don't worry about people saying, "Oh, you're not a Christian." Da 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 da. Sir, all I'm gonna say is, if God was a person, we know where He would be. So we're just gonna read between the lines with that as you may. But I'm gonna keep it pushing. Bad Bunny was the choice for the Super Bowl. We know what the NFL is trying to do in terms of global marketing and trying to globalize the sport. I'm sorry, you're not gonna get Brantley Gilbert If you're trying to globalize this sport, you're not going to get Morgan Wallen. You're not going to get any of these country artists if you're going to try to globalize the sport. Bad Bunny is who you want. Bad Bunny is one of the faces, if not the face, of global pure entertainment. It's Bad Bunny. Whether it's his albums being the most streamed artist in the world in the early 2020s. Hey, champ, you brought up his WWE appearances, whether it was WrestleMania 37, heck, Backlash. I still to this day watch that Backlash entrance when he went up against Damian Priest in that Puerto Rican street fight, when he came out to Chambea and that entire crowd was singing that song. Shout out to the San Juan, Puerto Rico crowd for that Backlash. That's to me still one of the greatest international pay-per-views of all time, just off of that crowd alone. And Bad Bunny was the centerpiece, and he showed up and he showed out. So, but it's crazy to me how we're in the big 2026 and we still have certain problems that us as a country are supposed to be past, and we're not even close to being past it. If anything, as a country, we're regressing because certain people and certain positions in the world have almost allowed it to be okay for those people to act a certain way towards other people. We 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 ought to be beyond past. We ought to be beyond as far as being past not liking somebody because of how they look or how they act or their color of their skin. We should be beyond that point. Everybody got problems. There's not a perfect being on earth. We all got the same problem. We all get dressed the same. We put our pants on the same. We put our shirts on the same. We all bleed the same. You know what I'm saying? To the 1%. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Y'all don't piss and bleed gold, buddy. Y'all are human beings just like us. So the fact that it's like certain people have gotten and the people that are on the pedestals nowadays shouldn't even be on these pedestals, and it's a shame where we're at as a country. I hope and Bad Bunny, I don't want Bad Bunny to say one word in English. The only words I'll allow you to say in English are hello and goodbye when the show over. That's it. I want every other word in between them two. I'm talking about. I want you to Latin it up as much as you possible. And there's certain something like I want to hear Chambea. I want to hear Monaco. I want to hear I want to hear the big hits. I want to hear the classics. I want to hear them. I
Mm-hmm.
know I know I don't understand what he's saying. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, but you know what? At the end of the day, he's a really good artist who performs and he's gonna show out for the crowd. So all this stuff that's going on with how people are just against it and the Turning Point USA, one of the most irrelevant shows ever created. It's an irrelevant show. They just I don't know what they were thinking coming up with the idea of Turning Point USA having a halftime show anyway. It's stupid. Ain't a you have I mean, we know what you are to have to watch a show like that, but we ain't trying to get kicked off the air that bad. We don't want off the air that bad. We like what we do. But Bad Bunny's gonna have a great show because that's just who he is as an entertainer. And people just need to accept the fact that the NFL picked him and he's gonna show up and he's gonna show out and just leave it at that. Quit worrying about stuff. I mean, stuff he ain't got no business worrying about anyway. Let that man go out there and perform. Let him do his thing. We know as fans what the NFL are trying to do with globalizing the sport. Let that man do his thing. That man ain't done nothing to y'all. All he does is perform. I mean, if you ain't seen Happy Gilmore 2 in his performance, watch it, please.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it. Watch his performance in Happy Gilmore 2. One of the more underrated performances of that movie was him in that movie. I loved his role. I loved his role because he didn't even have to talk that much. It was his mannerisms, his faces, some of the things he did in that movie. He was great in that movie. So they had like Bad Bunny isn't this global star. People like talking about how relevant he is and all this other stuff. I'm like, do y'all even watch TV? Do y'all follow things nowadays? Do y'all not understand how relevant of a human being Bad Bunny is to society nowadays? Whatever rock y'all living in, just stay there. Because if y'all don't care that much, don't come out. Just stay where you at. Just I don't know, man. Just it's like I said, man. It's sad times we live in. That more people are worried about how somebody look or what they're gonna say, as opposed to certain people and their actions and how they're making the country just look so bad nowadays. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And as far as with the president not being at the Super Bowl, in the words of Ice Cube on the movie Friday, bye, Felicia. We don't
Facts.
want you.
He probably going to a brothel that night or something. I don't know.
He probably is. And that latest video of what he posted about the former president of the United States, Barack Obama, and Michelle Obama, disgusting, deplorable, but at the end of the day, not surprised. In the words of Rest Her Soul, Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are the first time,
Believe him.
Believe it.
and this ain't the first time with President Trump. But I just wanted to get that off the record because I wanted to talk because I mean, good thing about podcasting, I have conversations with y'all. It's like therapy. So sometimes when I got so much shit going on in my mind and with Trump and ICE and everything else, there's no better way for me to express my opinions here on the pod, doing what I do best with y'all. So thank y'all for that. But we probably may finish the podcast a little bit early because Sports PSP wants to do some things to prep for the Super Bowl as well, and also with a lot of other stuff. But we got an interesting babyface or heel. Now, for those who may not know what babyface heel means in wrestling terminology, babyface, good guy, heel, bad guy, tweener in between. Deshaun Jackson. I'm gonna lean towards babyface. Look at the job he's done for Delaware State. Coach of the year, I think, right?
Coach of the year.
The hell
First
of a
win of
job.
season in almost 10 years.
The only controversy I had with Deshaun Jackson was the tweet. Remember, champ, the tweet regarding Hitler. But
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson did take accountability for it. Even Julian Edelman, who is also Jewish, reached out to Deshaun Jackson and tried to teach him and educate him about how Jewish people, how they went through. So I applaud Julian Edelman on that. Deshaun Jackson, he was exciting as a football player. I mean, he was electric speed. I still can't get over the Monday Night Football game when he and Michael Vick torched Washington. On the very first play, Michael Vick, play action, bootleg, threw a bomb to Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson had swag. One of my favorite Deshaun Jackson moments, the miracle at the Meadowlands. When he scored the game-winning punt return touchdown. And how he torched Eagles fans, Giants fans that day. He devastated. He broke their hearts, man. But when I look at Deshaun Jackson, swag, he from the Cali area. I mean, remember in the 2010s, I mean, of course, the song Teach Me How to Dougie, he was doing the Dougie dances. But electric, at that time, he was the best deep threat in football. He was great in special teams. He was explosive. And again, Andy Reid, he talks and loves Andy Reid so much. That's one of the reasons why I call Andy Reid a babyface, because he gets the most out of players. He gives players second chances. He gives people opportunities. He loves himself some Andy Reid. Andy Reid is the type of person, I believe in you. I'm going to give you this opportunity. Don't screw it up. And when you look at what Deshaun Jackson has done, what he means to football, turning around Delaware State, winning Coach of the Year his first year. I gotta say babyface.
Man, Deshaun Jackson. I like Deshaun Jackson, man. Swagger. He'll show you up. And look, thing about him, he wasn't perfect, man. He'll make a few boneheaded mistakes, man, like the time he thought
The Monday Night Football game against the Cowboys.
Oh my God! I'll never forget. I watched that game. My dad was cussing up a storm when he did that. You blank. If you would have ran the ball for this, but he was amazing. Remember, look, he has the NFL record for most touchdowns for 60 plus. that is 26. He's
Mm.
tied for the touchdown for 80 plus yards, 5. For touchdowns 50 plus, he's ranked second in NFL history, 31. The first player in the NFL outside of Khalil Mack, the only player outside of Khalil Mack to make a Pro Bowl in 2 different positions: kick return, wide receiver. And he did that much to the disdain of his quarterback at the time. We'll get into that a little bit later. DeSean Jackson, that was the only thing that I really had a problem with, was because of the tweet. That was it. Other than that,
And the Eagles, they had to keep it consistent because remember, you kept Riley Cooper, knowing what Riley
yeah,
Cooper said. So if you're Jeffrey Lurie, if you're Howie Roseman, even though the fact that you are Jewish, at the same time, you did keep Riley Cooper, knowing that he said the N word, and Michael Vick and a lot of other people.
vouch for him. They vouch for him.
So if
And
you can if you can keep Riley Cooper knowing what he said, I think you can do the same.
yeah. And man, I love DeSean Jackson, man. DeSean Jackson, speedster, could could take the top off, man. There's guys that I wish that may never get into the Hall of Fame, but I wish that they would have shows on the Forgotten. It's just like this guy was a speedster. This guy was a speedster. I think him and Santana Moss need to be definitely studied at a point as far as just pure speed was concerned. And look, they were not necessarily that big either. So,
Yeah,
you know,
Deshaun's like 5'10", a buck 70, buck 75.
yeah. So, for him to succeed at that level and just be graded like that, I mean, he was exciting, man. That was you knew you was about to see a show when he came on that field. That's how come the Washington Commanders went and got it, man. But another product of Andy Reid, loving what he's doing for the HBCUs. Hopefully, after his contract is up, he will stay at the HBCUs. I know that a lot of guys, and you can't blame them, they get a head coaching job and they move to greener pastures. But, and I know they get a lot of flack for that, but, it's no different than any other job. Once you get the experience that you need and you want another job, I mean, that's just what that is. But I'm hoping that him, Marshall Faulk, guys like that stay at the HBCUs and bring a lot of needed attention back to the HBCUs as far as the NFL. Like I stated before, 10% of the Hall of Fame is from HBCUs, including 2 of the greatest players of all time, that being Walter Payton and Jerry Rice. So I'm hoping that he stays and brings more attention to the HBCUs. But man, DeSean Jackson, hey man, exciting man. You knew you was about to get a show when he came up, man. Man, I'm smiling right now because it's just like I knew he was about to torch. You about to get torched for at least a touchdown. You about to get torched. Um, Thank you, DeSean Jackson, for going to an HBCU and turning that thing around. And surprisingly, it didn't get a lot of publicity. It did not get a lot of publicity that I hoped it would. I
I
remember I
think
said,
I think Champ, because also too his former teammate Michael Vick, I
yeah,
think was kind of overshadowed to some extent, but Deshaun, man, he was so electric. He was so smooth though, and fast. How he tore. I love seeing the pain on Giants fans when I talk about the miracle of the Meadowlands. I mean, how he scored that touchdown on that play, but man, he has swag. He has so much swag, man, and still does, man.
yeah.
BRF, man.
Hmm. Yeah, I gotta go babyface too as far as Deshaun Jackson. When you look at the league and you look at some of the greatest wide receivers that's ever played, as far as like being under 6 feet tall, you look at guys like Deshaun Jackson, you look at guys like Marvin Harrison, you look at guys like Steve Smith, guys like that who didn't necessarily have to be tall, but played a certain way that they could affect the game no matter who was on them, no matter what position they were at. I mean, Deshaun Watson might go down as arguably the greatest deep threat the league has ever seen. Like he could just kill you in so many different ways, whether it was kick returns, punt returns, lining up in the slot, lining up as an X or Z. Just it didn't matter where you line him up at. He could make a statement and he could make an impact regardless of where you put him. And I think that's what made Deshaun Jackson like really, really scary because early in his career he was a kick returner, he was a special teams guy making a Pro Bowl, and then it was like when he finally got a real chance to kind of be like an every down wide receiver, you just see the impact and you saw how good he was, like hand route running, ability to make tough catches. Like he could do it all. And like, yeah, like Champ said, yeah, there was a little a micro transgression here, but I mean, really outside of that, like the tweet, outside of that, he wasn't ever in trouble like that. And I mean, and he was genuine, he was authentic. You know what I'm saying? He would say what was on his mind, but at the same time, he would go out there and he would show it week in and week out. And yeah, seeing what he's doing at Delaware State is nothing short of really amazing. A guy like that, first time opportunity as a head coach, really putting himself on the map, putting Delaware State on the map like that. What they're doing, man, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to see. I too love seeing coaches get these opportunities with these HBCUs and putting a stamp out and putting that flag in the ground early, letting you know what it's going to be, what type of coach they're going to be, what type of culture they're instilling in whatever college that they're coaching at the time, and just really kind of making an impact on not only the sport itself but those players, because you're not only being a coach, you're also you're almost like another father figure to them. You're like the true leader of men, being a head coach like that. So you can kind of see the impact that he's making, and you can't do nothing but really admire and respect that, and you just wish him more success. I wish all the success in the world for Deshaun Jackson, because he deserves it, because he's probably one of the truer, genuine brothers that we got right now. And as far as his playing career, like, I mean, what can you say? What can you say about him as a wide receiver, kick returner that hasn't already been said, as far as how good he was and some of the plays that he's been on, whether the receiving end, as far as like, him being a true wide receiver or being a punt returner, like one of the greatest plays I've ever seen was that Washington game. That first play, like that was a simple play action bootleg. You run a skinny post and I mean, just burn him. Like it was like just instant toast. And Mike Vick just throwing this 65-yard just perfection of a throw. And I also think one of the more exciting things we used to get to see on a weekly basis with those Eagles was just watching Deshaun Jackson run. Like it wasn't, just run. Like
He
it was
did
just like he was
effortlessly.
just so, yeah, effortless, like so
Yeah.
exciting. Like how exciting he was as a player, how electric he was as a player. You knew week in and week out. You knew all it took was you know what I'm saying? You give Deshaun Jackson an inch, he take the whole damn mile and take it to the house. That's just how electric and how much of an impact player he was, regardless of what his size was. You can't Deshaun Jackson didn't worry about how big he was. He knew week in, week out, if I had an inch, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna score on you. And there's not a lot you can do about it. So Deshaun Jackson for me is definitely a babyface, not only for his impact in the league as a player, but for his impact at Delaware State, what he's done after the league and podcasts and just talking about his life and his career and what it's done for him and what kind of man it's turned him into. Now you see the impact with Delaware State. So you can't help but show love and show respect to that man. So he's definitely a babyface.
Carmelo Anthony.
Number
That's a
one,
good
my
one.
favorite phrase is because of Carmelo, man. I'm about to go
We go
Carmelo and risk
Carmelo and risk it all.
it all. So, hey, man, I love that phrase, man. I'm about to go Carmelo and risk it all. Uh, let's just be real, man. He's a baby face. My humble opinion. I think too much gets lost in the fact that he people say that he went for the money and stuff like that. But that was a time where people were chasing championships. There was a time where everybody was chasing championships. And to me, at certain points of your life, you got to realize, man, you're gonna get criticized one way or another. You're gonna get criticized. It doesn't matter. He stuck to his guns, man. He stuck to being a scorer, and eventually, along down the line of his career, he tried to go for a championship with Oklahoma City, where he was not even he was the fourth option, at a certain point. You know, behind Steven Adams, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook. So he tried, but I don't think people understand how great that he really, really was, man. Winning, the Player of the Year as a freshman at Syracuse, winning a national championship at Syracuse,
as a
being a part of the
freshman.
Jordan, being a part of the Jordan brand, being one of the most prolific scorers during his time, and I think that the fact that he never won a championship and it's looked at that he went for the money. I think that gets overshadowed by how his greatness was. And look, in fairness to him, guess what? I'm from New York. I want to try to win something here. Let's see what Phil Jackson is going to do. Let's see what this front office is going to do. Let's see how this thing is going to turn out. It did turn out well. So, the only free agent y'all bought me was Amari Stoudemire, unfortunately for me. But, I did everything I could in order to try to bring some glory back to New York. And Carmelo, man, look, Melo was great, man. Melo was great. He's more than good. I wish he would have went to Chicago and played with Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler and company. Wish he would have did that. Unfortunately, he didn't. But to me, he was the George Gervin of his time. He was the George Gervin of his time. Prolific scorer, very good on the floor. Not so much on the defensive end, but when it was time, he showed up. It was time he showed up, and you saw how much he was revered by fans when he was in the crowd that one game, and the ball came up to his feet, and he literally walked on the court, act like he was going to shoot, and then the crowd started cheering, and then he threw the ball away. You saw how much he was revered during that time. So, man, look, man.
And let's not forget that 08-09 season when Denver, I believe they had the second seed in the Western Conference, and then they made it to the Western Conference Finals. And it was pretty competitive between them going up against Kobe and your Lakers champ.
Yeah, him and Chauncey Billups gave us headaches. They gave us headaches. So I got to pay homage to Melo. Every player is not going to be LeBron. Every player is not going to be Jordan. Everybody's not going to win championships, MVPs, and things of that nature. Yet they're going to be remembered. And when you think about Carmelo, considering what he did on the high school and on the college level, and when he got to the pros, not to mention his legacy, his son, and what he's doing in college, guess what? You got to acknowledge him. So, but man, look, Carmelo was that guy. And look, man, when you want to score, you want to get a bucket, well, scratch that. I'll say he's the I said George Gervin, but in reality, Kevin Durant reminds me more of George Gervin. I'll say he was the modern day Adrian Dantley. So he was modern day Adrian Dantley, just a prolific scorer. If you need a bucket, Carmelo's going to get you that bucket, man.
I say Babyface as well, not just because of how great he was as a scorer, especially with the mid-range. Look what he's doing right now as a father, helping out his young son, Cayenne, in Syracuse. Him and Lala, they've done a great job raising Cayenne. I love his podcast, 7 p.m. Brooklyn podcast. Melo definitely has shown that he can have success not only with his NBA career, but post-NBA career. Definitely winning a national championship at Syracuse. I think that was the first one for Jim Boeheim. I think I forgot the last name, Jim Boeheim out of Syracuse. Mm-hmm. So that was the first time. And for him to do it as a freshman, imagine how Carmelo Anthony, if he were drafted number 2 overall, because the Detroit Pistons, they had the number 2 overall pick and they took Darko Milicic, and which there was Carmelo, there was Chris Bosh, there was Dwayne Wade right after those guys. But when I look at Melo in Denver, people just talked about how him and Iverson, but Melo didn't really have much help, though, during his time in Denver until they brought in Chauncey Billups. Then in New York, remember there was him and Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni fit Amari Stoudemire because of the pick and roll offense, and plus their familiarity going back to their days in Phoenix with him and Steve Nash. A lot of people, it was reported, remember Linsanity. Remember when Jeremy Lin took over, and there were reports about Carmelo Anthony being jealous of Jeremy Lin. But you look at Melo, 2012 season, helping the New York Knicks capture the number 2 seed. I would love to see the Knicks versus the Miami Heat during that time for the Eastern Conference Finals. Even though I wasn't mad with Indiana because of what Paul George, David West, Roy Hibbert, there were some good players. Frank Vogel at that time was a good head coach, particularly on what he meant on defense.
Yeah.
Um, Man, I gotta admit, them shoes. I love the Mellow shoes. Those
Yes,
was
indeed, man.
Yeah, them shoes were cool. And also too, the thing I love about Melo's not afraid to embrace and show, because Melo, for those who may not know, he's also Puerto Rican. Him and
Yes.
Lala, they're both Puerto Rican as well, and they pride on that. And when you look at Carmelo Anthony, he's been through a lot. Lost his father at the age of 2 years old, and for him to, and he had some issues. Remember on the court, remember the suspension when he knocked out one of the Knicks players? Remember that brawl the Nuggets and the Knicks had during the
Yeah.
06-07 season? Yeah. Remember that punch? I mean, you can hear that punch.
Yep.
But
I never forget when they criticized him for being on the No Snitching documentary. Stop
yeah, I
snitching.
remember that. I was gonna bring up that.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's all good as always. Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. That's one of the reasons why I brought you in, big fella. But Bella was able to overturn that. I love the fact that Melo is rocking the braids now, because after remember, he cut off his hair because he lost a bet after losing, I believe it was either 2K or NBA Live, and he cut off the entire hair. But one of my favorite games for Melo during his Knicks time, I hate to say this because I'm a Bulls fan. Them two, the game tying shot in the fourth quarter, and the one he scored in overtime just to give the Knicks a victory. So
Okay.
when you look at Carmelo, 6'7", 6'8", 230, 240, can score from a multitude ways. Matter of fact, champ, God rest his soul, the late Kobe Bryant said, Melo's the hardest for him to deal with. Even
Him and
more
Tracy.
difficult than LeBron.
Yeah, him and Tracy. Him and
Yeah.
Tracy McGrady. Yeah, those were the two guys that was the most difficult to guard for the late great Black Mamba, man. Let's not forget about that 60-point game that he had. That 60 piece.
Yes.
But people made fun of him for that because he got a 60 piece, no assists, 4 rebounds. So, like I said, people are gonna criticize you regardless. So it's just you might as well be yourself, man. But man, I love watching Melo, man. Um, never forget that post game conference when he was in OKC when they pulled the water down his back. That was funny,
Mm.
and they gave him a hefty fine because of that. But Melo, look, it's better to be loved. It's better to be hated than what you are, than to be loved than what you aren't. But and I admire guys like him and Allen Iverson who were authentic to who they were, regardless about public opinion and public backlash. I appreciate guys like that were authentic and true to themselves. They didn't let the masses dictate who they were. They they were who they were, and they were themselves. And you can't help but admire someone like that, even when it isn't popular. And you know, probably got the greatest friend group like ever, bro. Next to my friend group, I say. But got LeBron, you know, Chris Paul, and LeBron, Chris Paul and company. But my crew's better, so I'll say this. PSP, BRF, and the rest of the Wolf Pack. So you know, but man, I love watching Melo. Man, this is like a nostalgic thing for me because I feel like I'm reliving the 2010s and the 2000s all over again because it's like some of the greatest players that we've seen are retiring and they're
Yeah.
leaving the game, and it's just like it's a slow burn. If you really want me to be honest with you, it's a very very slow burn. It's like in a few years, Steph Curry's not going to be here. In a few years, Braun's not going to be here. In a few years, you know, Kevin Durant is not going to be here. The guys who carry
Kyrie,
the league.
and plus Kyrie, you never know. Not saying that Kyrie still can't play, but you never know if
Yeah,
Kyrie, possibility he could leave.
Yeah. So when you think about a lot of these players that we grew up watching, hell, when Melo was drafted, I was a freshman in high school. I was a freshman in high school. I graduated in 2006. Yes, I'm old. I didn't fight with George Washington though. But I was only like 15 when he got drafted. But seeing him play on that Nuggets team would have been interesting to see. I think the greatest what if story if he had taken that contract with the Denver Nuggets, and it would have been him, LeBron,
Ron and Chris
and
Bosh.
Wade.
Stephen A. Smith has
It was
mentioned
supposed to
several
be him,
times it was
LeBron,
supposed to
and
be, yeah, it was supposed to be
Carmelo.
LeBron, D, Wade, and Bosh, not CB. But Melo at the time, I mean, the money. But other than that, I love Melo. He's cool. One of the big things I love about with Melo though, kind of like with Jordan, I love how they smoke the cigars and stuff. I mean, they're just like cool to hang out with, smoke a cigar, talk on a podcast, have a nice drink or so. Kind of like that's what I hopefully do one day with BRF and Champ one day. Just podcasting, either smoking a cigar or having a nice drink or two. It's just he's the type of person that's just chill, laid back, like to have fun. But and also he's done a good job as a father, especially with Cayenne, man. So shout out to him and La. BRF, man.
Uh, yeah. I might as well kind of make it unanimous here. Yeah. I mean, Melo's a baby face. I mean, I think the thing I don't like as far as Melo's concerned is like all the constant pot shots that like George Carl wanted to throw at him because like George Carl was the head coach of those was a lot of the head coach of those
Oh yeah,
a lot of
remember the
those
book
nuggets.
he wrote?
Yeah, that was just like that was I don't know what's the deal with these coaches, and they want to just like they want to call out players like after the fact like they weren't happy with with certain things or like look Melo's one of the greatest ISO scorers we've ever seen. I mean, you hear like the Hezzy Mello and all this other stuff. You hear you hear all the stuff that Melo's kind of got influence on and stuff like that. But I mean, like he was I mean, I'm trying to imagine those Detroit Pistons teams had Melo was drafted number 2 instead of Darko Milicic. If they drafted Melo too, and then you're looking at Melo and Billups and Rip and Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace. If Melo joined that squad at the peak of their powers, where they were like one of the two best defensive teams in the NBA with the Spurs, and if you add a Melo who brought his level of scoring to balance that out, it's a what if. You kind of think about what that Detroit Pistons team would have been had they had Melo's like elite level scoring. When it got to that point on that squad, I think it's one of the biggest what ifs in NBA history. Had Melo gone to instead of Darko Milicic to Detroit, and it's something we think about. But honestly, though, with Melo, it's about the influence he's had on a lot of these guys as far as like scoring and just their style of play and also with and you see a lot and you see like oh yeah I enjoy his podcast. I enjoy his podcast too. He's got one of the better podcasts out there. And you brought up his son. Like his son's gonna be a really really good player. I've seen him. I've seen clips of him. I've seen highlights of him this year so far at Syracuse, and he's given me no reason to think that he won't be a good pro. But I mean, Melo just he takes things in stride. He's not a, I mean, he can talk, he can have fun, but he wasn't necessarily always the most boisterous guy. But at the same time, he was one of those when it was time to get down, and he like when it was time to get down, and you needed a bucket with the game on the line. Carmelo Anthony was usually your guy, and he just like I think seeing him now get his flowers is well deserved because I think a lot of these talking heads and stuff nowadays don't really truly appreciate how good of a player Carmelo Anthony was. They see the fact that okay, he wasn't the greatest as far as like setting up his teammates and playmaking and assists and stuff like that. But at the same time, though, Carmelo wasn't. New York didn't do all that to get Carmelo Anthony in just focusing on like they brought him in to score the basketball. They brought him in to do what he needed to do to help the New York Knicks elevate it. And I mean, unfortunately, he couldn't get him to that point of a championship. But at the same time, I don't think he should. I don't think his career and his legacy should be dictated off of the fact that he never won a championship. He's one of the greatest scorers the league has ever seen, multi-time All Star over, and just shout out to Carmelo Anthony for just really finding a niche outside of basketball, like doing his podcast show and all the stuff. He's everywhere. You see him. I mean, just shout out to him living his life and doing his thing. And he wasn't really a troublemaker at all. So I mean, yeah, Melo's a baby face for me too.
Yeah, indeed. All right, fellas. Now, this one is a wrestler. Again, it has to do with him. This is a wrestler that I'm about to bring up as far as babyface heel. We're just only going to talk about him, the person. Shawn Michaels.
Tweener. If you're looking at the beginning of his career, he's an anal retentive, and that's just putting it mildly.
He's a what?
Anal retentive.
I've never heard the term. I'm sorry.
He's an asshole.
Okay. You could have just said prick, dick, jackass, or
yeah. I tried to keep it clean. Kind of got dirty early, but anal retentive.
But why is Mama Champ looking at you?
No. But try to expand the vocabulary just a little bit. Just like Kai. But yeah, he was kind of an anal retentive at the beginning of his career. But when you look at the back end of his career, it was a lot better. Plus, he got easier to get along with and got married, have a son. And, look, the NXT locker room loves him. They love him. So, I mean, they always doing these little skits on TikTok with him and trying to see if he can recognize each and every last one of their voices and things of that nature. I say Tweener. If you look at the front half of his career, very, very prickish, very, very much of a butt. You look at the back end of his career, which arguably was better than the front end of his career, in the great words of BRF. I'm not going to take credit for that because that's plagiarism at its highest. But, if you look at the back end of his career, much like BRF stated before, it's...
not just BRF. A lot of people, Casual. Shout out to Casual. He also stated it as well as too. Flash, our guy. Yeah. No one's a bigger Shawn Michaels fan than him. He's considered Shawn his GOAT. Grant as well.
Yes, indeed. And I'll just say Tweener based on what. But look, man, if you had not seen, here's what I will say: Tweener, babyface, or what have you. If you are a first-time wrestling fan and you have never watched the sport or sports entertainment in wrestling, and I had to put you in front of the TV and I had to let you watch a wrestling match, it's going to take me 2 hours in order for us to get through that. Because the 3 matches that I'm going to let you watch will be the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12, the ladder match at WrestleMania 10, and the Kurt Angle match at WrestleMania 21. Those are the 3 matches. If you are not a wrestling fan, you've never seen wrestling before, and I want to sell you on wrestling as far as the athleticism is concerned, as far as the competitiveness is concerned, as far as the smoothness of it is concerned. If I'm trying to sell a first-time person who had never seen wrestling before, and they said, look, you got 2 hours. We're going to watch 3 matches. I want you to sell me on wrestling. I will sit right in front of the TV and turn on the Iron Man match, WrestleMania 12. I would turn on the ladder match for WrestleMania 10 and the Kurt Angle match for WrestleMania 21, because those are the matches that are the cornerstone of wrestling, and Shawn Michaels was able to put them on. those wrestling matches are so good that you can watch them with the sound down. And that's what I would tell them. Those are 3 matches that you can put in front of somebody and say this exemplifies athleticism, competitiveness, and smoothness in wrestling. You could turn the sound down, and you can see everything that I just exhibited that you would find in a regular sports program. Those are the 3 matches that I would sell. But as far as personality goes, tweener, because beginning of his career, very, very hard to deal with. Back end of his career, a little bit easier depending on who you ask. Because remember, he had the incident with Hurricane Helms, and that's how come Hurricane Helms ended up getting fired. Allegedly, I would say.
I think the best match I've ever seen from Shawn Michaels, champ, SummerSlam. His first time back after 4 years. And Shawn still could perform just like that. Shawn is one of certain people we've heard of the old saying in wrestling, he can have a match with the broom and make the broom look like a superstar. That was Shawn Michaels. And that was his first match back in like 4 years since WrestleMania 14. I lean towards tweener, but you could lean towards babyface with Shawn Michaels because of the turnaround in his life. Taker. Undertaker, he said it himself back in the 90s. If Shawn was on fire, I wouldn't piss on him to set the fire out. Don't they have a great relationship now? I would like to believe so. Triple H. He's gotten a lot of criticism and flack because of how he's running WWE, and also because he is the son-in-law to, of course, Vince McMahon and whatever. But he was there for a lot of Shawn Michaels' good and definitely a lot of bad, particularly when Shawn was on pain pills and alcohol. Shawn Michaels, remember, I'm sorry, I had to watch that video of Mark Henry. Remember how he threatened Shawn Michaels to kill him and the Clique. Something about hiding his crutches. Shawn Michaels, make no mistake about it, he was a prick back in the day. But at the same time, it's also fair to say that Vince tolerated him for so long because A, the talent that Shawn Michaels was, and B, Jim Ross has often said Shawn Michaels reminds Vince McMahon of a young Vince McMahon. Defiant, attitudinal, bold, cocky. I mean, a lot of that what you saw from Shawn is also what you saw from a young Vince McMahon. And Shawn Michaels as a performer, Ric Flair said it, the greatest in-ring performer of all time. Shawn, when it came to the wrestling boots, was like the Michael Jordan, as Stone Cold Steve Austin said, in the ring. Shawn definitely was a prick. I mean, he and Bret, that wasn't scripted. That was real. A lot of it was real, especially when Shawn Michaels cut the Sunny Days promo, as well as the heated rivalry between he and Bret. But Shawn, I will give kudos for turning around his life and making amends with a lot of people, especially Undertaker. His second comeback to the WWE was even better. And shout out to our good guy, Kieran. Appreciate you, Kieran. For Shawn to turn around his career, I think he was better in his second run, because more importantly, the drugs and alcohol. That was no longer there anymore. That was no longer a problem, champ. Even though, champ, you mentioned WrestleMania 14. Had he not dropped the belt to Steve, Undertaker would have done something to him. But I think him stepping away from wrestling at that particular time was the best thing for him, because Shawn had that back injury from Taker at the Royal Rumble, but he also needed to get his life together. Fortunately, he was able to find that with Rebecca, his 2 children. Just listening to Shawn Michaels now, and also being a great mentor for the NXT wrestlers. And they look at him, I hate using the term, they kind of look at him as a god because of how brilliant he was as a performer and as a student regarding wrestling. I just love Shawn Michaels and his talent, his art, and I say tweener, but I wouldn't be mad if you call him babyface because of what he means to wrestling now, how he's able to redeem himself, and what he means to wrestling. So I say so I say tweener, but I would lean towards babyface with Sean. BRF.
Man, though the weight, I'm almost. I think if it wasn't for the degree of just hell that was the first part as far as like his career in WWE, I would say like this the back half of his career, and then going and getting into like NXT and becoming a Booker there. He's a tweener for me too, but you can't help but admire the change that he made in his life, giving himself to God and really kind of centering himself and putting things back into perspective. Because man, yeah, the first half of his career, like in particular, like that new generation era, going into that beginning of the Attitude Era, like before he had to, before he that initial retirement because his back injury. That saying calling Shawn Michaels a prick would have been nice, like the type of guy he was early in his career. Um, and just the constant backstage politics, constant arguments, constant turmoil. Only reason Vince McMahon was putting up with him was because at the time Shawn Michaels was the face of the company, and he was just printing money for him. I mean,
Yeah.
just flat out printing money for him was why Vince McMahon tolerated it. If he didn't cause the ground rise of success that started with the WWE then before they really got into the Attitude Era and basically go through that boom period of wrestling, Shawn Michaels might have already been gone. But you can't sleep on the fact that my two greatest in-ring performers of all time, wrestling wise, ever, are Shawn Michaels and AJ Styles. Um, just Shawn Michaels, his storytelling, his ring IQ, his athleticism, even late stages in his career. The reason why I say Shawn Michaels had a better second half of his career than first half of his career, even though the match quality was good in the beginning of his career, guys, being able to get good matches out of Diesel, his rivalry with Razor Ramon, his rivalry with Vader, like Sean Undertaker, the first Hell in a Cell, just the Iron Man match with Brett, like a lot of those matches. But then you look at the second half of his career, like the rivalry with Triple H, WrestleMania 25 and 26 with the Undertaker, the
Ric
rivalry he
Flair.
had with yeah, exactly. Yes, the WrestleMania 24 match, that one match of that year, the match of 2008, WrestleMania 24 was him and Ric Flair was
That was
match of the
crazy.
year that year. Was match of the year that year. Um, like his rivalry had in '07 with Cena over the WWE Championship. Their match at WrestleMania 23 slept on, really good match. Of course, 21 with Angle, like
Let's not
they were in
forget
the mid.
22 with
Oh,
Mr. McMahon
with Mr. McMahon,
and
with
I know
Mr.
Mama
McMahon.
Champ is gonna kill me, but I'm sorry. Anytime
Let me
when I
tell you.
think Mr. McMahon and Shane McMahon and the Spirit Squad versus Sean and God,
Let me
I'm
let me
sorry.
let me tell you something. I don't think there has ever been a moment of just sheer deserved comeuppance than what Shawn Michaels did to Vince McMahon that night at WrestleMania 22. In particularly the two spots for me that stand, or the three spots that stand out. The spot where he was whooping his butt with that belt, and Jim Ross's call when he was laying that leather belt on him was one of the great, because you know how Jim Ross felt about the Vince McMahon character at the time. You just know it just Jim no Jim Ross did not look at Vince like that, and nobody did. And just his commentary when Shawn Michaels was whooping him with that belt was some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard. And then the chair shot, like it's high, it's far, it's gone, because they were in Chicago, and we know, like, Wrigley Field, and at the time when I think it was still called Comiskey Park with the Cubs and the White Sox, that was one of the loudest unprotected chair shots I have ever heard in my life. Was that WrestleMania 22? That initial chair shot, like the literal dent he put in that chair after hitting Vince McMahon with it, was just classic. and then the ladder spot, sliding the trash can on him on the table, climbing up the ladder, doing the DX, doing the second the DX chop, and then dropping that perfect elbow through the trash can. To me, if you're a wrestling fan and you had a dream scenario of how a heel will finally get theirs in the end, that's the match I will put on for you. If you want to see a heel get what's coming to them, it's that street fight at WrestleMania 22 with Shawn and Vince. Like, just I mean, it's definitely not going to be, for the wrestling fan, but for the fan of sports entertainment and professional wrestling who understands that every match isn't going to be a clinic. That was one of the better matches I'd seen that year. But no, but he's a tweener with really just how he's kind of like recollected himself and got his life on track. And now you see NXT and you see him be a big time mentor to all of the development of stars, getting the guys caught up now, like whether it's whether you see now you see Obafemi being called up, you see Trick being called up, you see Javon Evans being called up, and even with past guys that he's kind of like really put his hands on as far as like helping them develop and become what they are, and the women as well too. Shawn Michaels, I think right now is the best booker in terms of women's wrestling. I think he is what he's done for that women's division in NXT and how he's just really cultivated it and made it what it is today. Like I've said it and I will continue to say it. I think NXT might have the best might have had I think they've had the best women's division in the world really since, good lord, really since what, like 1920, like around like like COVID time. Just just the way he's able, his booking, and just the way he's able to just make stuff work, even with the callbacks that he's done with angles and storylines in his career, the fact that and just able to make stuff work. Like, you can't say I think you can't say enough about Shawn Michaels and what he's done in NXT, but I'm just happy the man is still alive. The stuff that he was put himself through as far as like the addictions and all that other stuff early in his career. I'm just glad the man is still alive, because I am not gonna lie, I thought there was a point we were gonna lose him before he really got going. Like, he was that bad off. And to get himself right is nothing short of, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm a Christian, I'm a Baptist, I'm a believer myself. I'm not a radical one, but I do try to live a certain way that I feel like, he would be proud of. And for me, the biggest thing of that is just being non-judgmental, first and foremost, being non-judgmental. um so I'm just proud Shawn Michaels is still alive to being able to do his thing. But yeah, he's a tweener, but I wanted to put him as a baby face, but it's I just know there are still some people that are probably on the fence with him. But as far as I'm concerned with Shawn Michaels, I'm just glad he's still around, getting to live his best life and doing what he wants to do, and as being in the wrestling business and just having fun and just being a mentor. I think he's doing what he's meant to do. Like, as good as a wrestler as he was, as good of a performance he was, I think right now being in NXT is his calling and is what he's meant to do. So shout out Shawn Michaels. Keep doing your thing in NXT, because I just want to see him continue to grow. Hopefully become a book. Hopefully start booking on the main roster eventually. I'm sorry, Triple H. I love you, Triple H. I'm sorry, but right now Shawn Michaels is just, he in his bag booking in NXT right now, and I don't think nobody can deny it.
Well, he's definitely capitalizing off the NXT. I mean, look at the women that he had, Jada Parker. Obviously a lot of other women, but Shawn Michaels, I mean, and plus, speaking of the women, they love him too. The sexy boy, the boy toy, even at 60 years old, still look better than most men. And he's still entertaining. Still, I mean, that just tells you how charismatic Shawn is, not only to the women, but also to the men. He can grab attention. That's the thing about Shawn, the beauty of it. So, shout out to Shawn Michaels. All right, fellas, favorite Adam Sandler moment? The Water Boy. Out of all the movies Adam Sandler has done, that's my favorite movie The Water Boy. My two favorite ones is one when he who is it Henry Winkler, the head
Yes,
coach?
the head coach.
Remember when he tells him something about water, about Gatorade, and then he's saying water sucks. It really, really sucks. And then he just gets so pissed off, and then he blocks the field goal and runs it all the way for the touchdown. Then also, I love when he speared Colonel Sanders in the classroom.
He called him Colonel Sanders.
That dude did have that damn ugly ass Colonel Sanders suit on, though. With that damn that little ribbon tie. I don't think folks even wear that no more. I ain't worn Colonel Sanders. You on?
Something's wrong. Something's wrong with his medulla oblongata.
And then also I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. I love the part
Underrated
when the
movie.
woman walks in while they're playing their basketball game, and then she tells him to do something. Chuck, keep buttering my biscuit. And because he can't recall whether if he slept with her that night, and he's like, "Nah, I didn't sleep with you that night. That probably had to be your twin sister." I love that. The Longest Yard. Adam Sandler. People have forgotten Adam Sandler. Remember, he was on SNL, Saturday Night Live, and of course, the Billy Madison movie. Him and the beauty and the black woman. Remember when had the conversation when they having? I thought I was your snack pack. So that Happy Gilmore, but man, I've always loved Adam Sandler's movies. Always loved Adam Sandler's movies from Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, the cartoon one, Eight Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
I love that one. 51st Dates with him and Drew Barrymore. Adam Sandler, man, I just love his work, man. I just love all his work, man. His movies, I mean, that was cool back in the day. I mean, the 90s when he was doing Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, but The Water Boy to me stands out. And then of course, in The Water Boy, the great LT Lawrence Taylor. And then when Bobby Boucher is talking and he's and like Lawrence Taylor, kids don't do you know what? And for Lawrence Taylor to say that, I mean, it is kind of hysterical. So, yeah.
If you ever wanted a more ironic scene, just watch that one.
What's your favorite Adam Sandler moment?
Oh,
The
boy.
price is wrong. The price is wrong. Man, God rest. Look, the reason why that relates to me because I was so used to seeing Bob Barker when I was sick at home. You know, my grandma had to keep me. So the fact that he was fighting with Bob Barker and Bob Barker hit it with so many rights, he was begging for a lift. So that was like crazy. Waterboy was real good. Waterboy was real good.
Kathy Bates, man.
Yeah, that was good. I'll leave that one out. But Big Daddy when the dude came to the door, we want some candy. Dude, did he went round the door? And he's not happy. He made the dude give him a Rolex and everything. Adam Sandler, one of the more underrated guys in Hollywood. I never forget they was doing the flashcard. Fish, pony, hip hop anonymous. Damn you! You
always give him the easy ones.
Damn you! You give me all the easy ones. But man.
How about him and Cheeseburger Eddie?
It ain't easy being cheesy. Man, that was a good scene with him and Michael Irvin playing basketball. That was a good one.
And for those who may not know, Adam Sandler can ball though. Even though you see him out in the street, but man, he can hoop.
Yeah, he can, man. Adam Sandler, one of the more coolest guys in the world. I never forget. Chris, I think it was Chris. I think it was not Chris Tucker, but Chris
Rock.
Yeah, he said, man, they was doing a documentary, hip hop documentary on MTV about doing TV raps. He said, I'll never forget. I was riding a car with Adam Sandler, And man, these guys were saying every word in the book when it came to the Dr. Dre album. But every time it came to the N word, they will always stop. And he said, and they was not doing it like on purpose just because I was in the car, because they were saying every lyric verbatim, but you could tell it was a habit. So that they just didn't say it. So, that says a lot about character. But man, Adam Sandler, man, one of the more underrated guys. I like the movie he did, Pixels. When he was riding in the car like Ghost and Pac-Man and all of that stuff right there, man, that was good. Not to mention, I forget the movie that he was in. He goes to the White House and his friend was the president. And the lady thought he had followed her. He said, the president would like to see you in his quarters. I'm more important than you. So
wasn't that Mr. Ain't that was that Mr. Deeds?
I believe so.
I think so. Not to mention when he broke up with his girlfriend on Big Daddy, that was the funniest.
And how the girlfriend ended up working
at Hooters and
How about that 5-year plan?
5-year plan. I know you're gonna miss me when you never mind.
old something
and growth. But oh man. People don't realize that in that movie he was going to school to be a lawyer. He eventually became a lawyer. So that was what was the thing about it. Man, Adam Sandler, a lot of great, and he's down to earth as hell. So to be that big of a star, and man, look, and hey, I hope that if I ever become famous or ever become a high commodity wherever I'm going, I'm hoping that I can do what he did. I can bring all my guys with me, and all of us can make some money. It's always funner when your guys. They say you don't make it a lot when you bring passengers, but sometimes that's what you need, man. I'm hoping that one of these days I ever get on and somebody signs us to a big old contract. I'm hoping I can reach back and grab a couple guys, because Rob Schneider, although certain things come out, that's Adam Sandler's guy. So he came out. And he's every time there's a movie come out, Rob Schneider's in that movie, bro. So that's just
you can do it.
Yeah, it don't matter. Hey, every movie that Adam Sandler comes out with, Rob Schneider's gonna be in that movie. That's his guy. So yeah. I'm hoping that I can reach back and grab a couple guys as well. So that's amazing, man. But Adam Sandler, kudos, man.
BRF.
Son of a gun ball, why don't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home? Answer me. No, Happy Gilmore. I love good Lord, I love that movie so much. The water boy, the scene where he's arguing with his mom about what is he gonna choose, football or is he gonna stay at home with his mom? I like school and I like football. And I like doing them both because they make me feel good. Oh my Lord. And by the way, Mama, alligators are on her because of their medulla oblongata. Leaves and shuts the door and comes back, opens the door. And I like Vicky and she likes me back.
Right.
And she showed me her boobies.
And I like them too.
Well, just oh my gosh. Like, yeah. Let me tell you, I laughed for days watching the Waterboy. I still laugh when that movie comes on. Billy Madison. Oh my God, Billy Madison was so good. The scene where they're at the park and the boy messes his pants up, and then he does it. He does it with him that way he doesn't feel left out. You ain't cool unless you pee your pants.
What about the one in and Billy Madison with him and Russell Soul, Chris Farley?
Yeah.
Oh my. Yes.
Hey, how about remember this? How about that sandwich?
Yeah.
You know how badly I can beat you, right?
Oh man. Oh my gosh. What else? What else is there? There's the scene in The Longest Yard where he God rest his soul, Cloris Leachman, where he's trying to get the footage so they can practice and study the guards and
Oh, the woman. Oh, yeah.
the stuff that was recorded with him and Cloris Leachman, we ain't gonna discuss.
Particularly the cowboy hat.
Yeah, most definitely the cowboy hat. We are not talking about the cowboy hat. And then the scene with gosh, what's his name? I can't
What,
think
with
of his
Brucey?
name. Yeah, with Brucey.
With
He's
him
trying
and
to run
Tracy
his
Morgan when
yeah,
they
he's
were.
trying to run his
That's right.
he's trying to run his mouth, and then Adam Sandler exposes Brucey. And I'm just like, oh my Lord have mercy. And he's like, it's funny you said something. I got another clip too. And then he shows that like, oh man. Like, yeah, Adam Sandler is like one of the greatest like film comedians of our of our generation, bro. Like just so many good movies. Like he didn't have a lot of bad projects. Like whether it was Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore or Big Daddy or Click. Click was a good movie too. Click was a good movie too.
Especially
The,
when he,
sc- the scene where he's arguing with David Hasselhoff and
Yes.
he uses the remote and he pauses and he slaps the daylight. Like, boy, I'm telling you, man, Adam Sandler, like, man, there's at least a good like 6-7 movies. Like, I would if you trying to get into Adam Sandler, there's at least a good 6 movies. Are like, yeah, you want to watch, you want some good comedy, you watch these Adam Sandler movies. Oh gosh, what else is there? The where he did the comedy special where he sang the Hanukkah song. Like, bro, like just too many good things. And happy. And look, I've already brought it up once. I'm bringing it up again. A lot of people did not think Happy Gilmore 2 was gonna be that good. Happy Gilmore 2 was amazing. Like it was kind of like that one and another movie like shout out Keanu Reeves, but The Matrix Resurrections. It's what I'm saying. It's one of those movies where it's like, man, you made me wait all these years for another movie, and then you finally give it to me, and you actually give me a good movie. The wait was
not
worth it.
many sequels are good.
That's how I felt about Happy Gilmore. It's like I waited all this time to finally get a Happy Gilmore sequel, and you gave it to me, and you did it for me. You made me happy. So yes, Adam Sandler is one of those comedians where it's like he's effortlessly funny. And yeah, and y'all brought it up about him putting his guys on with whether it's David Spade, Chris Rock, Kevin James, Rob Schneider. Like regardless of how you feel about Rob Schneider and his politics, you know how Adam Sandler feels about him. Like some of the greatest one-liners in the history of comedy is Rob Schneider, the Water Boy. Like, bro, come on. Well, wake her ass up. We gotta win tomorrow. Like just classic stuff. Just classics. But yeah, just Adam Sandler really had like the late '90s, like the mid to late '90s, like just sheer just flat out chokehold. When he put out a movie, you knew it was gonna be a good movie. So yeah, just too many moments. Shout out to Adam Sandler. So man, definitely in terms of our generation, definitely one of the greatest comedians of our generation.
Definitely. Fellas, one last one. Favorite Waka Flocka track?
Round of applause.
The
Round of applause.
Baby, make that ass clap.
Round of applause.
Oh man, no. I think I told PSC about the joke that I told one of my homegirls when we went off the air last week. I won't say the joke on the television, but that was a good one.
Oh, that one. Nah, I remember that joke. I remember that joke.
Yeah, round of applause. That was a good one, man. But even Spoken Reason, one of the little content creators back before content creator was really a thing. He had that skit, round of applause in his thing. Oh, let's do it. I think that was good. Oh, let's do it.
That's the one that put him on the map.
Then you had Wild Boys. Wild Boys with him and MGK. I know that's not his song, but him and MGK is that was a good, especially that part where they were sitting at the dinner table. You think I'm a good rapper? Hell yeah. You think you're a good rapper? Heck no. You're a good rapper. Let's see. I mean, so many, bro. Hard in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
It's a party. It's a party. It's a
Mhm.
party, bro.
Yes.
I had, bro. That came. All those songs came out during my heyday, man, and that was a. It was a time, bro, going to the club where the radio stations used to be at the club, right? And they would used to do like a club every one. It depends. One day they'll do this club, one day they'll. But when they would do the club downtown, you could actually hear the music in the background as they're broadcasting because they'll be on the spot broadcasting. And I never forget my guy New Jack, not that New Jack, but he was a DJ New Jack from Columbus. He was always be downtown doing that, and Warner Walker Flocka song used to always come on back when they was doing that. So I mean, those were back when we was in the big city days. Back when we had bar crawl downtown, where you could pay $10 every first Friday and get into every club. That was an event, man. And Walker Flocka and company and Brick Squad was the epitome of that. Um, Never forget a lot of parody songs that they made about Waka Flocka. That was one of the funniest damn things I ever seen. That was crazy. So, man. Oh, let's not forget. I don't. I remember this song, but I don't remember it. Beast. Yeah. Uh, that one was good. Waka Flocka Flame. Like a Brick Squad.
Hey man, he turned around his life, especially with that weight loss.
Yes, indeed, man. And plus, man, Waka Flocka before he started rapping, the only thing he wanted to do is go around fighting people all the time.
Yeah.
So messed the club up. Messed the club up. You know what? Messed the club up. That one was good, man. Welcome to my hood. His verse on Welcome to My Hood. That was good. Ferrari boys. It's a
BRF.
lot.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim.
No, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. Like I said, those songs came out during my heyday, man. I enjoyed it.
BRF, man.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I love how you asked that. I love how you asked that question, and we all just like round of applause. All of it just at the same time was round of applause. But yeah, from that's my for me. Not only is that my all time favorite song, but I think that's his. But for me, that's his best song. Um, No Hands. Ugh, such a good beat. I love that song. No Hands with him, Wale, and Roscoe Dash. That's a great song. Yeah. Oh Let's Do It is the one that put him on the map. Man, that like I think, and it was kind of like it was at that time where you still had like that crunk, but it was kind of starting to really kind of veer towards more like trap and that style, and Waka Flocka was like one of those that kind of like he wasn't the greatest rapper, but at the same time it's one of those times where it was just like as long as you got the catchy hook and as long as you got the beat to go with it, you got a hit. So yeah, I mean, come on, man. Yeah, Grove Street Party, or yeah, the feature song of the day. The promo song. That was, yeah, I love that song. Um, yeah, honestly though, I will say this though, his Wild Boy feature was a yeah. I give him props because he nailed that. That's Waka Flocka to the T. Like he ain't no lyricist. He ain't no Nas. He ain't no Ti. He ain't nothing like that as far as
He's
lyrics
a
goes.
party
But
ant,
he's
but
but,
that's what he
but he's
does
fun.
best.
Exactly. He does the party anthem. That's what he specialized in. He nailed it. So you can't ask too more. You can't ask much more from that. Hard in the Paint still gets played at stadiums. That has become one of the like quintessential like sports anthems in the country. Um, and gosh, I'm trying. What else? What else? What else is there? For me, those from Walker are the ones that like those are the ones that stand out. And but yeah, like because like he didn't have like a real long career, but I mean he had hits. He got a decent catalog. So shout out to Waka Flocka.
Although it was short time though, but hard in the paint. But of course, no hands and round of applause, especially in them clubs. Like my final year in high school, I loved playing that track. Round of applause. That was a hell of a track, though, man. That was cool. That was cool. But
One of my favorite feature verses of all time. That Drake verse on that song,
yeah,
boy.
Yeah.
Drake's flow on that, yeah, man.
Hmm.
But fellas, that concludes the rest of the Sports PSP podcast. Another great pod, another great episode. Any final words, fellas, and tell them where to follow y'all at.
I will start it off. As always, BRL Sports. It's a TikTok handle. Link trees in the bio. You'll find my IG, Drell112285. My Facebook. Not. I mean, you if you want to follow the personal, you can. But the sports page is bringing real flair. I also got my Twitter/X Dre2285, and I have my BRL Sports Discord community. If you ain't already in there, feel free to hop in. It's a live link. I'll accept you. I'm always looking to meet new people to talk sports and have fun. Like I was talking about earlier in the video, I got a good bit of new content out. I've done all my divisional previews for the MLB 2026 season. If y'all haven't seen them, y'all need to check them out. And I got the National League on my YouTube. I will add the American League as time goes. I also got a Super Bowl video if you want to look at that as well. And I've been posting other like little stitches and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get back on it as far as like, putting the content out. Cause I mean, hey, you can't really get to know us individually outside of the podcast if we ain't doing it on our own end. So best believe we gonna do the work and we gonna put it in and we gonna get you gotta give the people what they want at the end of the day. So that's what we're doing. So shout out to y'all. We appreciate the love and support. I appreciate the love and support. It's Friday, man. It's the highlight of Friday night. What better place to be on a Friday night than with two of my favorite people just doing what we do best, laughing and cutting up, but also just finding that great balance of not only laughing and cutting up and just joking around about crazy stuff, but at the same time finding that balance is when it's time to dig in and it's really time to talk about what's important and what's going on in the world. We can do that as well, whether it's sports, whether it's just politics, what we can dive into. That's what makes it cool. That's what makes it fun, and that's what makes it enjoyable. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to Champ. Shout out to PSP. Always a pleasure to hop on here and talk sports and talk life with y'all. Hey man, the topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. Hey, we love y'all and we gonna keep this bad boy going. So shout out to you two fine gentlemen for allowing me basically discovering me, putting me out on the map. And now I'm just sitting here enjoying it, having fun, man. I appreciate y'all both.
Absolutely, man. Undisputed world champ.
Uh, Once again, PSP guys, thank y'all for always, it's a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor in order to be here every single week. It feels good to be a staple mate of the show, man. It's something about when you just one of the staples of the show. It's like being in like a group or something. And it's always great to see. Like I said, I always try to do outlandish stuff so we can get people watching. Try to wear different hats. Brought the title along today, so I'm hoping that it gets people watching, get people laughing and entertained, man. Thank you, PSP, man. Privilege, pleasure, and an honor. Over 6 million views, uh, over 150K subscribers, man. Doing this thing. Um, Make sure y'all hold your families close. Make sure you hold your families close at a time like this. Remember, man, look, next weekend is Valentine's Day, man. Get that special lady something in your life. Get that special lady something in her life. And if you're gonna defend the title, give a Shawn Michaels performance. So that's just being real. But man, I love being on here every single week, man. I don't have to pretend to be somebody. I can be myself, and that's all you can ask for, man. Is somewhere where you can have a safe place in order to be yourself. So shout out to all of y'all watching, man. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to Sports PSP. And PSP, man, keep doing your thing. Shout out to Mama PSP and D and the family. And y'all think if y'all watching, thank y'all for giving us PSP because man, he's been a blessing on my life. And BRF, thank your family for you, man. You've been a blessing on my life as well, man. So, uh, man, it's good times, man. Good time to be alive. Every moment is a gift. Every second is a pleasure, man.
Absolutely, man. Everyone, please enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're gonna be drinking, please drink responsibly. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy all the other great festivities. Enjoy the Super Bowl halftime show. Um, Everyone, just have fun. Just have fun. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Stay safe. Please be responsible. Have a good time. Next week, we're going to do our show, our recap of the Super Bowl. And then, of course, we're going to discuss some more other great things, such as the NBA and the All Star game and other festivities and things like that. And then, of course, we're going to talk about, hopefully, sooner than later, WNBA basketball, some women basketball, some college basketball. Please go check out AJ Dynaspa from BYU. Also go check in Peterson, the kid from Kansas, because he has also big future as well. But thank y'all for tuning in to the Sports PSP podcast. I am your host, Sports PSP. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening, and we is out. Peace.